Dude, welcome to the podcast. Looks like I've got a Pope hat on.
When did
I don't know
you
how
do?
I did that with my beanie. I just kind of unfolded it, and then I was the Pope. Welcome, everybody. Defying the odds. You know, I turned on the news this morning, and they're like, H3 Podcast, Ethan Neal Klein. Wouldn't dare show their faces again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove them wrong. Turn off the power. Came down here, started the podcast.
What was that, like Good Morning America or
it was
Friends? Or...
Yeah, it was Good Morning America.
Wow. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It was mainstream. It was on like Channel 2, whatever that is. Nationally syndicated. Today we have with us the Hasan Piker, a Twitch streamer. I would even venture to say the most popular Twitch streamer that doesn't play games. He's a progressive.
He plays a little.
Plays a little games, we learned. But I don't think that's what he's known for.
No.
But he's a progressive commentator, and I really find him interesting because, like, I feel like the space is so predominantly occupied by conservative voices. I find it really cool that there's a progressive who's able to flourish in this space. So I think it's interesting. I think he's an interesting guest. So I'm happy to have him on, Hasan Piker. Also today, Teddy Fresh release is out. New summer drop. Sorry. And including the anxiety shirt that everybody can't wait to get their hands on. Mm-hmm. You love it. You hate it. Whatever you think about the shirt, 100%. Oh, thank you. The president is a fan of the shirt.
I said I love it.
I heard you the first time, Donald, and I appreciated it then, too. Look how happy and beautiful they are because they're wearing Teddy Fresh, and you could be that happy and beautiful, too, by going to teddyfresh.com. Look at all these beautiful new items. Color block, quilted jacket, cute AF hoodie. We got some jewelry, and, of course, everybody's favorite shirt. I have crippling anxiety, which, whether if you love it or you hate it, whatever you think about this shirt, 100% of the profits are being donated to Mental Health America. So it's a win-win here on the H3 Podcast, but there's so much more to see, including the beanies, which are finally back in stock, which have been sold out forever. And we need members to join right now. Chris Hansen is literally investigating Zach, we learned in the last episode. And we don't know what he's going to uncover. All I know is that I need young Zach, and I can't allow anything to happen to him. He's way too important. He's way too sweet of a soul. So hit that join membership, become a member for early access, no ads. Or, I mean, Zach's going to be having a seat with Chris Hansen. None of us want that. Anyway, so let us continue on with our interview with Hasan Piker. I have to say, Hasan, first of all, thank you for joining us. Very glad to have you with us. I've noticed that you are occupying a very unique space in the internet landscape, whereas Twitch and the internet at large seem a lot of like young conservatives have found voices in communities. And but there's not many people like you who are kind of leading liberal communities. I don't know. Do you use the word liberal? I'm not even sure how to describe it. But like left-leaning.
No, yeah, I wouldn't even consider. I don't consider myself a liberal, but in the American political lexicon, I guess like I'm super liberal. That's what that's what Americans think liberalism is. Like the more left you are, the more liberal you are. Even though there is a genuine distinction between the leftist and the liberal, but yeah. I'm progressive, I guess. That's the catch-all term.
I like progressive.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be progressive? It's in the name. We're progressing.
Progress.
Yeah. Well, that's why like early stage classical liberals who like wanted to rebrand, like Dave Rubin, for example, who now are very openly on the right and like everyone knows it. They originally tried to say like they're the real progressives, and that the people who brand themselves as progressives, people like myself, they were actually regressive.
Regressive.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it didn't work. So now Dave Rubin gets a lot of money from, just Prager University and numerous other Republican think tanks and whatnot. So now he's just openly a libertarian, as he calls himself.
So you've got this community of progressives, which why is it, first of all, that we don't see more people like you when there's tons of communities and people doing conservative movements? Why is it that this progressive thing on the internet is so rare? Do you have an opinion on that?
I think that there's a lot of liberals in mainstream media, like a lot of people who brand themselves as progressive but aren't really all that progressive, or will use like the aesthetics of progressive politics to weaponize, even in some instances, against their political opponents, whether that be right wingers or even members on the left. Like they kept saying Bernie bros are sexist and racist and stuff like that. Those people occupy a gigantic space in media. And because of that, there hasn't really been a need for alternative, more independent content creators that also promote that kind of commentary. Whereas I feel like with Fox News, you have Fox News, or with AM radio, you have radio broadcasters. But then beyond that, there aren't that many real conservatives in represented in media, mainstream media specifically. That's why there's a lot more people out there on the internet doing their own thing as like independent content creators on the right. Whereas on the left, you don't really see that. And then the most significant reason is because money. There are numerous Republican or even alt-light or even just like, centrist commentators on the internet that are pretty fairly established in the right as well, that get money from donors, get money from those who own capital, and they'll just keep funding these programs. I mean, you see this in mainstream media as well with like something like The Federalist, which is a right-wing publication. We still don't know who funds them. It's basically a meme at this point in like left Twitter or political Twitter. No one knows who funds The Federalist. But it's basically like a jobs program for Republican fail sons that get jobs over and over again. Yeah, like conservative fail sons who just keep failing upwards, and that kind of money doesn't exist for the left because the left is one, disjointed, disoriented, and also two, does not have the same kind of money that that right wing publications have because they're speaking out against the rich pretty openly, So the wealthy are not going to exactly go out of their way to fund you if you're constantly like, I don't think billionaires should exist. That kind of wealth accumulation is a systemic problem.
So you think maybe that's where the progressives are even distinct from what would be considered liberalism? Because, like you said, you see liberalism a lot in mainstream media, but progressivism, which is being not funded to the same degree, it's just a matter of money and the interests of people who have money, is what you think.
Yeah, I think these ideas are definitely very popular. And they're even popular in circles that you would not expect them to be popular in. If I were to spend 15 minutes talking to a random person who's apolitical about the way that wealth accumulates in this country, they would probably, at the end of that 15 minutes, recognize, yeah, you know what? That is how this system works. It's pretty simple. Wealthy people make a lot of money, and they set the rules in a way that that continues their success. And there are problems associated with that. And usually people who don't have that kind of wealth, who are destined to a lifetime of working meaningless jobs or menial jobs, they will never achieve that level of wealth and success, even though it's portrayed to them or even though it's sold to them as though they will one day become millionaires or billionaires, even though we, every single one of us, no matter how much money we make, and now with Twitch, I definitely make a decent amount of money a month, and I'm sure you guys do as well. We are way closer, we're infinitely closer to homelessness than we are to becoming the next Jeff Bezos. As a matter of fact, I think even Elon Musk is closer to becoming homeless than he is to becoming Jeff Bezos. Like, it's crazy. It's a crazy...
And,
That kind of wealth is unimaginable.
It really is.
Bezos is a rich mother, dude. But I'll say this, like, so what is it then? Like, what is the ultimate goal, let's say, of progressivism? You say billionaires shouldn't exist. Do you really mean that there should be no billionaires? Because it's kind of the antithesis of what the American dream, the whole ethos of what America is, right? I mean, what really can you do when you say, I don't think billionaires should exist? I mean, what does that mean?
I think that the existence of billionaires is a product of wealth accumulation and a lack of wealth redistribution in all of our economies. But the way that, for example, Sweden works or Norway works, they have more billionaires per capita than the United States. Fun fact that most people neglect to mention. So, like, I'm not crazy. I'm not saying, just go out in the streets and, like, rip billionaires from their homes and forcibly redistribute their wealth. Like, that's, some people advocate for that, but those people are in the margins, and it's something that you should just laugh at and move on. What I'm saying is we should move towards a Sweden style economy or a Norway style economy, which would be a social democracy with robust social safety nets and protections for workers, like higher unionization rates. A lot of these countries have nearly full unionization rates, or they have almost their entire labor force under contracts, so that even if they are not a part of a union, they're still protected by that industry's union-backed negotiations. In America, that number is 11%. In a country like Finland, the last time I looked at this, I think it was like around 90%, or it just swings around like 80 to 90%. So that's a huge problem for workers in this country. And I think that, ideas like the American dream, which is just a dream, unfortunately, or this notion that, like, we're all going to become millionaires one day, and meritocracy even, is a very successful way of making people feel like, as long as they put their heads down and work and listen to their managers, listen to their bosses, and don't really ask for more, then one day they too can succeed. And while there are fringe cases of people actually succeeding, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen for the overwhelming majority of people that are just a part of the working class, everyday average Joes.
So if there's more billionaires per capita in Sweden, how is it that... So this expression, because you said earlier you don't think billionaires should exist, but I guess maybe that's hyperbolic. You don't literally mean that.
Okay. So do I think that if it was possible for billionaires to exist while simultaneously eradicating homelessness and even making sure that the gigantic wealth disparity that currently exists in the global south or in developing nations, if we eradicated all of that and we still had billionaires, then hell yeah.
I see you have a lot of Bernie Sanders swag in the background. Is that your guy?
Oh, I love Bernie, yeah, for sure.
I love Bernie too.
Yeah, Bernie was that was a beautiful dream. That was kind of an American dream that died there. It almost came true, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was a very long shot. I always told the people that watch me, like, look, this is very likely not going to happen. I think that it is definitely a long shot, regardless of how successful he was or how popular he is, how popular his policies are, like Medicare for all, for example. Regardless of all that, I just always was skeptical, because I just assumed that every institution, every legitimate institution, legacy publishers, all of that, would do everything they can to, at the very least, make it seem like he was bad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But he came so close, and then it was kind of almost bizarre how Joe Biden seemed out, like he was done. And then all of a sudden, what was it, like North Carolina was just this total shift?
No, South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina.
Yeah, the South Carolina primary is actually pretty significant in the Democratic primaries as a whole. It's a very weird process that we have in the Democratic primaries, where the first state you look at is Iowa. They pride themselves on being the first state, and they have a caucus system, which is really awful. I'm not going to get into it. It's a super outdated way of doing it, things, and it's undemocratic regardless. But it's basically Iowa, which is 92% white, so not reflective of the rest of the United States at all. That really is like the first big race. And then it's Nevada, which is very diverse and definitely more representative of the demographics of the United States. And then you move, Iowa, and then, wait, I'm messing it up. It's Iowa, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
and then Nevada, sorry. And New Hampshire is very white as well. And then Nevada, and then you get to South Carolina. In South Carolina, especially on the Democratic side, the South Carolina voter profile for the Democratic Party is super unrepresentative of the rest of the American demographics as well. So we have like a very interesting way of doing things in the Democratic Party, but the South Carolina primary is the most important one because it is predominantly overwhelmingly black. And the black voting bloc is the most significant voting bloc that most consistently and reliably votes Democratic in the generals. So, for example, Representative Jim Clyburn is regarded as the kingmaker because of that. Anyone who he endorses ends up becoming the president. So that's how Joe Biden really won. He failed disastrously in the first three competitions, and it seemed like he was out, but he kept saying, wait till South Carolina, wait till South Carolina. And it was expected that he was going to win South Carolina for sure, no matter what, right? Because people wanted to vote for him in South Carolina. He always looked to be polling by a wide margin in South Carolina. And then when he did win, there was a 3-day streak of just nonstop coverage. The underdog is back. Joe Biden, this guy who's been in politics for like 50 years, and it was Obama's vice president, was now the underdog. And just a sea of endless positive coverage about Joe Biden's chances, followed up by virtually every single incumbent that was in the race that still had a shot, or not incumbent, sorry, virtually every single other primary opponent that had a shot, dropping out and endorsing it before Super Tuesday, which then really stacked the deck against Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren staying in the race as well. Also sullied the progressive base by separating the progressive base. And that's how you got Joe Biden victory after victory in most states that he hadn't even been to yet. In California, he lost, but he didn't even have an office. Like he had one office that was padlocked, that no one had even stepped into in months. He went to Virginia once and he won in overwhelming numbers. And part of that is because people were aware of him and they wanted a safe choice, and the media kept portraying him as the safe choice and the one that will beat Donald Trump.
Well, let me ask you, as a progressive, do you think that Bernie Sanders could beat Trump? And do you think defeating Trump is more important than putting out a progressive that may lose? Where I think Joe has a pretty solid chance now, it looks like, of defeating Trump. What do you think's more important? A risky Bernie, or a solid Joe?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Bernie is risky. I don't think Bernie was risky at all. It's how they were portraying Bernie that made him risky. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, but that makes him risky,
right? Well, then the problem there is not necessarily Bernie Sanders being a risky candidate in and of itself.
It's the system,
rather the media's unwillingness to cover him.
Yeah, but
in
it's
a fair
still,
manner.
but that's still, you can't ignore that, right? Because just imagine his own people. Like, he can't even galvanize his own side of the aisle because of all of these issues of wealth and equality, wealth equality. So, like, just imagine how stacked it would be against him ultimately, if with both sides of interested wealth stacked against Bernie. It would have been I mean, how could you overcome that? That would be incredible.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I think that's a legitimate fear that I had if Bernie was to become the candidate, even though that was a long shot. I was legitimately concerned with like all of these liberal outlets all of a sudden attacking the Democratic candidate, or even fighting back against them in a similar capacity to how Jeremy Corbyn had a sea of coverage, anti-Jeremy Corbyn coverage and anti-Labor Party coverage, by all accounts of the media, with only The Guardian endorsing him, but endorsing him with concern. Meanwhile, the Tories were openly both anti-Semitic and racist and horrible. They put up a statue of Nancy Astor, who once famously said that Hitler had the right idea about Jews. In the middle of all of this, Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic coverage. The Tories, the Conservative Party, literally put up a statue of a woman who said that, and they were still like, nope, Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic. And that is, in my opinion, that is definitely people who are in positions of power trying to protect their bottom line, trying to protect the current financial situation that they're in. It's understandable. That's what the purpose of the media is. That's what the purpose of all of these like legitimate institutions are. In a way, it's to preserve order, right? Because if you were to upend the entire system, then that could be a little chaotic. And it definitely wouldn't be great for people in positions of power who have made a lot of money off the status quo. So the similar thing could definitely happen to Bernie Sanders as well, and I was fearful of that.
But what are you going to support Joe now that he's nominated? Like, where's your
So
Sloppy
my opinion
Joe,
is, look, I'm very critical. I'm very critical of Joe. I've been very critical of him. I was even critical of the Obama administration when he was president, and obviously he's still infinitely better than Donald Trump. So I'm not going to lie to people for for my personal opinion, to preserve my personal opinion, or like to I'm just not going to lie to you. That's what I've been telling people whenever they ask me, like, well, do you think Joe is better than Trump? Like, of course Joe Biden is better than Donald Trump.
So
very few people are worse than him.
I think people take that statement for granted, right? Because I hear a lot of people who identify as progressive. Actually, I don't even know, because somehow there's a lot of people that both like Bernie and Trump, and that to me is interesting. I guess they just both kind of like the outlier.
They want to change, like a radical change.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, well, Bernie lost, so I'm not going to support Biden. So when you say that
that's insane.
Joe is
I agree
is
that
better
that's
than.
insane.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. Actually, the only way that it makes sense, I think it's a lot of people who are not super politically active or necessarily understand who they are, but they just like that they're outlier candidates, that they represent some kind of different change. But when you say a statement like Joe is infinitely better than Trump, what do you mean by that? Because I don't want to take that statement for granted here.
Okay. So what I mean by that is, even though there might be marginal differences between Joe Biden and Donald Trump on certain matters where the Democratic and Republican Party always seem to find bipartisan consensus, like American foreign policy, or even tax cuts for the wealthy for the most part, which is something that even Barack Obama pushed forward at a time when he didn't need to. Outside of those marginal differences, there are gigantic differences, like in the way that competent administration would handle something like the coronavirus pandemic, or I just don't think that Joe Biden is going to be sending like federal shock troops like the Gestapo into Portland and Democratic cities because he wants to violently squash these overwhelmingly peaceful, and in some instances not as peaceful, protests demonstrated by moms and veterans and, you know what I mean, and dads and just old people, along with this like boogeyman of Antifa. I think that Joe Biden wouldn't do that, and that is a significant difference, I think, between someone like Donald Trump and someone like Joe Biden. So what I mean by that is marginal differences in policy lead to drastically different outcomes when it comes to the lives of millions of Americans. A great example of this, for example, is like under Barack Obama, ICE deportation still continued. Nearly 3 million people were deported, right? But under Donald Trump changed the direction of ICE, specifically the enforcement removal, like the removal operations branch of ICE, which is what we know as ICE popularly. He changed the rule so that non-violent, non-criminal offenders were considered for immediate deportation. Like, that's crazy to me. If you've been here for 20 years, you've never broken a law, and you're overall like a law-abiding abuela, and you cross the border with your kids in tow, I think it is a horrifically inhumane thing to do, to just come into your house, lie to get into your house, which is what ICE does in a lot of instances, because they don't really have an actual warrant. What?
What do you mean they lie?
Oh, so this is one of the famous things that ICE does, which is why the ACLU and numerous other organizations that deal with ICE always tell immigrants, and if there are any undocumented immigrants listening to this podcast, you never, ever, ever need to open the door to ICE. Never do that unless they have an arrest warrant, and in which case they can break in if you don't open the door, and make sure that they slide the actual arrest warrant underneath the door.
Really?
Because they will portray themselves as police officers when technically they're not, and they will openly lie to you to be able to get access into your home. What?
Are they allowed to lie and say, like, what do they say? Like, we have a warrant, you have to open?
They'll say they have they don't have like an actual arrest warrant, but they'll show a federal decree, like a piece of paper that looks official, to say like, this allows me to come into your home and arrest you. That's a lie. They also don't have to tell you, they don't have to tell you that they're not literal cops unless you ask them, who is at my door? Why are you here? Are you a police officer? They wear branded gear that says they're police and they're federal agents, but technically they don't have the same kind of jurisdiction that police officers do, unless you are in what the ACLU considers to be a constitution-free zone, 100 miles in from every border and every sea line. That's a totally separate conversation, though. But more often than not, in the overwhelming majority of ICE deportations, especially if they are entering the home of someone who is undocumented but hasn't had any like significant felony offenses otherwise, you don't have to open your door to ICE unless they show you a valid, real arrest warrant.
That's got to be so stressful, just thinking to be in that position, to even have to make sense of that situation at that moment.
Well,
and think clearly, like...
Yeah, you would open the door, most likely.
And also, what happens if you don't open the door? Do they come back, like, next week?
They'll just move on to someone else usually, but they can come back if they suspect you of like actually committing a crime that's beyond just like border crossing or avoiding deportation. In that circumstance, they could technically go to a judge and try to get an arrest warrant, but again, that's proper protocol. But they don't usually have to follow proper protocol. They could just come in and be like, I'm a cop, open the door, please. We need to have a conversation with you, or whatever they say to get in.
Obviously, the counter argument to that is just, well, they broke the law. They came into the country illegally. Why shouldn't they be deported? I mean, that just makes sense. It's like, you came in, you broke the law, so you don't belong here, right? I mean, that seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I don't substitute morality for legality. Plenty of unjust laws exist currently, and plenty of unjust laws have existed throughout history. Slavery is a great example of that, where it was, it was a violation of the law to
Yeah, but how is
free
it
a slave.
unjust? I mean, don't you believe that we should have some kind of border?
How is it unjust?
Yeah, I mean, like technically speaking, I mean, like we have a border and we have immigration law, right? So.
And what about a kid that was brought here with a family and now
Yeah, well-
they've already been here 20 years and they have started a whole life here.
So if you're saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate, first of all. If you're saying there's a family that comes and has a kid, so the kid's a citizen, right? Because he was born in the U.S. And then they can deport the parents, but not the kid, right?
They can deport the parents and not the kid, yes. And they do deport the parents and not the kid. The kid is a natural-born U.S. citizen, which is actually something that Trump's administration also wants to remove as well. What is a process known as anchor babies?
Yeah, the anchor babies. I love that.
I'm an anchor baby myself.
I mean, sure, yeah, I could see that being extremely problematic, like especially when you're dealing. So what would happen if ICE came and you have like a 2-year-old? Does the kid stay, or does the kid get deported? Because they can't deport a U.S. citizen.
No, they don't deport the kid. So that's actually where the child separation stuff comes from too, in part, where if you have a child and you are the sole person responsible for your child and you are an undocumented citizen and they arrest you, then the kid gets also put into the system, and oftentimes in like horrific conditions too, which is what was the big controversy around like child separation. They'll just process you as a kid, and if there are no immediate family members to come and take you out of the processing, take you out of one of these child detention centers where you're in, then you're pushed forward through the system into a foster care program. So one of the most horrific things that the Trump administration did, actually, this is another fun but very dark fact, not so fun, is they used anyone who would come in to collect the children that were in processing in child detention centers as an opportunity to further prosecute additional family members who are also undocumented, which of course obviously deters family members from collecting their relatives, their immediate relatives, from processing if they themselves are undocumented, because then you have to give up your address and your immigration status to the federal authorities to be able to come and take this like 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 10-year-old out of a detention center where they're genuinely being tortured. I mean, this is a form of torture, no matter what you, no matter what you believe. This is horrifically inhumane.
Yeah.
And the Trump administration was doing that.
I agree. I mean, leaving a kid into foster care and separating their parents is totally inhumane. But then, like,
evil.
so the argument, right, goes a step further. They say, well, you know, these drastic measures are necessary because it prevents people from coming over the border, having sex, getting pregnant real fast, and then it's like, oh, we're all American citizens now. So to them, the ends justifies the means, right? So, like,
that mentality is really scary, because if you can justify that or something as inconsequential as a border crossing, which was regarded as a misdemeanor regardless until recently, then what? I mean, the slippery slope logical fallacy that conservatives love to use could easily be used here, which is like, then what won't you justify if that's justifiable? Now, the real counter to this is something that I hear all the time, which is, well, if you break the law, you get separated from your children. I don't see you crying about that. If you were, I don't know, drunk driving with your kids in the back, then you get separated from your child. Except you do have rights in that circumstance. There's a trial, depending on how many offenses that you've committed prior to that. With like your DUI, you either get to go free immediately after you're processed. In this circumstance, when you're an immigrant, the crime is not as significant or as severe as like even a repeated DUI offense, and you have all of your freedoms removed all of a sudden. Now, that changed under the Trump administration as well, because Trump claims that catch and release programs would lead to people running away and never coming up or showing up to their court dates, even though there's plenty of evidence to show that the overwhelming majority of people that had court dates would still show up.
It seems to me that people actually do think that crossing the border and starting a life here legally is worse than driving drunk. it seems to me that they think that that is like a really serious crime that should meet that level of punishment. I think the whole crux of their argument is that, I guess in their mind, they think that there's just so like, I think what's happening is that they think there's millions and millions of immigrants coming, and it's not even on a small scale. It's like, yes, you've got a family member, you've got a kid, and all this, but that's like the small scale. That's the micro. On the macro level, they see it as a takeover, right? I think they really see it as like a immigrant takeover, and it's the.
But you kind of like. I think the problem is that you're just kind of like a little bit racist when you have that point of view.
But I don't think they see themselves that way.
No,
of course
they
Of
don't.
course they don't.
No,
But,
a racist will never admit the term racism is hard because, like, nobody ever sees themselves as a racist. Or I mean, very few people will just say like, yeah, I fucking hate Mexicans or whatever. No, they say, well, look, there's so many immigrants coming over here and starting families that it's changing the fabric and identity of America. And so to them, I think that's how they justify it. And so they do see this border crossing as this heinous crime. And the reason I'm drawing it all the way out, I just want to think it all the way through, is that it's just, how do you even address something, that kind of thinking? I mean, how do you even find a common ground when the object is, white America? I mean, can you say white America? I don't know if that's accurate, because I'm trying to give them all the benefits.
American civic nationalism is really unique in its properties. It's not like as black and white, even though white supremacy is a significant factor in American civic nationalism. It's not overtly white supremacist in the way that you would understand it. I mean, after all, you have people like Candace Owens, for example, who literally engage in white supremacist racial agitation, but she's a black woman, right? So how do you parse with that if your worldview revolves around black and white when it comes to these sorts of issues of racism?
I guess they just see them as like savages and the kind of like classical otherism, right? They're like, look, we're America. We're more evolved. We don't want these people.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good question. And you have to ask yourself, or rather the people who say these sorts of things, like, why are you so afraid of undocumented immigrants coming in here? And immediately they'll hit two different talking points. One is crime, right? Undocumented immigrants are technically, they're running around raping people, MS-13 gangs, they're killing people, they're killing and raping nonstop, and that's why they need to be purged, right? And that is not, that unfortunately for racists, is not something that is reflected in the data. There are people that look into this sort of thing, including the libertarian right-wing Cato Institute that has done comprehensive studies on the matter that show that undocumented immigrants, partially because probably they're just overtly cautious to not get evicted from the country for no reason, are less likely to cause crimes. They are responsible for a smaller percentage of the crimes, adjusted per capita, by the way, with respect to the rest of the undocumented immigrant population, than natural-born U.S. citizens. So if your goal is to eliminate crime, then undocumented citizens is not something that you would tackle. Then they change the goalpost and say, well, technically it's all a crime because you came over the border. Well, again, that's a cyclical argument, because the conversation that we were having is like stopping violent crimes that you originally portrayed undocumented immigrants as responsible for. So they don't actually cause crime.
I think what they would say.
I kind of really, I can tell from my personal experience coming here on a green card, which I know is different, but like they tell you any little wrong thing that you do, you immediately get sent back and
it's scary,
green card is removed. So I know when I came here, I was like, I'm not touching anything that could be slightly wrong. Like I'm not going to have one drink and drive or anything that maybe before I would have thought is
I'll have a
okay.
beer. I mean, it's illegal, but you don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with anything.
But I can also say anecdotally that growing up in California and working in a lot of restaurants, a lot of the undocumented workers that are there, and there's in every restaurant undocumented worker. It's just it's just a thing that happens. I don't know. I don't really know. It's just a thing that it's there. All those people were super law abiding and like just kind of family dudes who are just trying to kind of earn money and send it back home.
Hardworking people.
Yeah. But I think that the image is that you have a bunch of broke people coming in, and as you know, kind of the amount of wealth or desperation, right? More desperation, more likelihood of crime. I think people see it maybe like that.
Yeah, even though it's completely false. So it's like arguing with a flat earther about how the Earth is not flat.
Is it false is it false that poor people are more apt to committing crime?
Poor people, yes. Socioeconomic conditions are the most significant factor, the likelihood that you will cause crime.
So it seems
however, there are obviously different factors. And as Hila correctly pointed out, I think being afraid of the law overall or being overly cautious because of your legal circumstances probably is the real reason why undocumented immigrants are less likely to cause crime. Now, I wanted to hit a second point as well, because it just doesn't happen. So I don't know how else to address it on top of that. Like, it just does not happen. It's less likely to happen unless you consider a misdemeanor to be the significant crime that you're trying to stop, which then we can have an argument about jaywalking, and no one, and I mean absolutely no one, would be like, we need to stop jaywalking in this country. This is a significant problem. They don't mean that. And that's why Donald Trump always says immigrants are rapists. He doesn't say they're jaywalkers, right? So the second problem is cultural, as you mentioned, right? America's culture, the cultural fabric is shifting, the social fabric is shifting. Now, that's not a new argument. This is an argument that was advanced against any significant population group that came into the country throughout our history in large numbers. It was launched against Asian people. It was launched against Polish people, Irish people, Italian people. In the case of Italians, they were correct. But all jokes aside, this is not a new concept.
We don't like Italians?
And now,
I thought we like Italians.
No. I love Italians. I went to Rutgers, so it's like, I say everyone who's ever lived in the tri-state is technically Italian, no matter what their ethnic background is.
You're from like, where'd you grow up? Like New Jersey area or something?
I grew up in Turkey.
Okay, so there's
I grew up in Istanbul.
Oh, you grew up in there you go. You grew up
my mom's family is Turkish too, so.
Oh wow.
Turkeys unite.
That's dope.
Turkeys unite. So wait, when did you come to America?
I came to America when I was 18 to go to University of Miami. And then I transferred from University of Miami to Rutgers.
Where's Rutgers?
Graduated from Rutgers. Rutgers in New Jersey.
Oh, okay, and that's where you grew a distaste for the Italians.
Yeah, not a distaste. It's just a meme
it's
in
the
my
Guido
community.
thing, right? Yeah.
It's just it's called Fredophobia.
Fredophobia. Yeah. I got you. So yeah, I was just fascinated by that comment, but let's go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, it's my fault. But as far as the social fabric goes, like, one, this is what makes America a beautiful country. It's the mishmash and the mosaic of all these different cultures coming together. Otherwise, it would be bland and tasteless like British cuisine. You know what I mean? Like, it's just everything would suck if we didn't have so many different cultures come here, bring some of the most talented people here, hardworking, talented people here, and try to make this country better. So that's one. And the other argument, as far as culture, this is also documented as well by the third generation. Every single ethnic immigrant population adjusts to American culture. This is a little bit harder to analyze, but anecdotally, you can even recognize that. I mean, think about it this way: how many generations removed are your family, Ethan? Like, how many generations have you been here? Your family?
My great grandparents were the immigrants.
So 4, right?
3 or
no?
no?
Well, Well, I don't know how. Yeah, I guess my grandparents would be the first, right? And then my parents, so I'd be third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself American or
Yeah.
wherever your
Yeah,
family came
of course,
from?
definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Is like by the third generation.
My parents do for sure. By the way, also.
Yeah, exactly. By the second generation, most people completely assimilate and see themselves as American and assimilate to American culture. By the third generation, it's virtually indistinguishable. It does not matter if you are Latino. It does not matter if you are coming from any ethnic background whatsoever. People assimilate regardless. It's a completely made up fear mongering idea that like immigrants do not assimilate, and that's why we need to stop them from coming in, or they change the American culture. That's silly.
Yeah, I think
that's a really good point.
It is true. Yeah, I think it's true. I think when people have this fear of assimilation, I think it really is targeted. Or when I think about it, it's really targeted towards Muslims now, right? I think the fact that like their religion is different enough to where they're wearing like hijabs and stuff like this. That's also the kind of thing with the Jews have this issue where they are wearing the kippah. I feel like just even this tiny little signifier makes people feel like, oh, you're not one of us. But
yeah.
So, but it's kind of. But
so
what does that mean?
There's data on that as well, by the way. If you want me to get into this.
Yeah.
But,
what's the data?
Okay, so Muslim Americans, and this is probably going to trigger the. Can I
Trigger
curse?
warning.
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay, it's going to trigger the fuck out of some people in your audience. I know for a fact. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
So, according to Pew Center research, Muslims in this country are technically more progressive than white evangelical Protestants. Now, white evangelical Protestants are
I don't have a problem
more
with
radical.
that. Yeah.
That's a more radical sect of Christianity, right?
Yeah.
But white evangelical Protestants have infinitely more political power in this country than most other groups do. I mean, think about it. Why else are we still having a conversation around abortion or gay marriage or any number of different issues that are wedge issues that most Americans have decided that is no longer a problem?
Although
abortion being the most
most religious people are anti-abortion, though, right?
Well, you can be anti-abortion, but still recognize that the government should not have a say in the matter.
Yeah, it should still be an option for the people who are not religious.
Oh, I agree, but I'm just saying, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know a lot of, like, personally, the stance of extremely religious Muslims, but I would think that, but I could say this for Jews, is that they think it's an abomination. To them, it's murder, right? That's why the abortion conversation is so tricky, because they're like, yo, that's murder. It's not legal. You can't do it.
But even in Israel, it's a country that's half religious. You can do abortion. It's not
Turkey
like
as well.
no one is
Turkey
trying
is a majority Muslim
tell
country.
That's
like a secular person can go and have an abortion.
Yeah, because when you think of Turkey and Israel, you think of them as more theocratically focused countries, which they are. Yet here in America, that's an issue. I find that interesting.
It's shocking to me that
it's actually
even
not an issue. That's why I said white evangelical Protestants make it an issue. It's technically not an issue. 75% of the country believe that Roe v. Wade is a Supreme Court decision that should be upheld, that allows people to have especially safe first trimester abortions. But the real reason why we have this conversation is the 25% that say no, and that 25% happens to be white evangelical Protestant Christians, or rather they are overrepresented in the no category. But that's what I mean when I say, while they're only like 30% of the overall religious base, they represent a massive amount of political power because of the Republican Party. So their opinions on LGBT, for example, the LGBT population, is overall less favorable and less tolerant than the entire Muslim population in this country. And this is shocking, I know, for a lot of people who are like, what? They would never think this. They're like, because they've been conditioned into thinking like all Muslims are super intolerant, but that does not that reality does not exist in the data when you look at it.
I actually think, in my experience, the American Muslim population does seem to be, in general, pretty tolerant and liberal.
Well, I am.
Like, yeah, I mean, you're just one example, but
I was gonna ask. So you are a Muslim, right?
Well, I am a Muslim in the way that like most secular Jews are Jewish.
Yeah,
like I say that I'm culturally Muslim.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Muslim family, but I don't pray. I don't do anything. I even eat pork, which is the cardinal sin technically.
yeah, for
Same
us, too.
here.
So yeah. And that's the one big no-no. Like
Yeah.
even worse than alcohol.
When's the first time you ate pork?
First time I ate pork was when I was younger. I don't even remember.
Oh,
it,
so it
really.
wasn't a big deal.
Are
Yeah.
your parents
Yeah, no,
okay with that stuff?
Yeah. My dad claims he's Muslim, but like he's like he was a secular Muslim as well. Like he was
Oh, that's
just
interesting.
very
That seems unusual for their generation to be secular Muslim. Is it?
No, not in Turkey actually. A lot in Turkey. Turkey's a secular country, and until Erdogan, who is very similar to Donald Trump, and his like 20+ year regime, Turkey used to at the very least have like very secular areas, and still does have very secular, very progressive areas within Turkey, like Izmir, Istanbul, even Ankara, I'd say. So no, there's a lot of Turks who are not religious at all, and it's mostly someone like Erdogan, just like Donald Trump, using the cloak of religion to galvanize his base of support and doing all these like symbolic things.
Because
but it's very unpopular.
I mean, look, you could say whatever you want about Donald Trump. I'm not here to. I'm not even here trying to make controversial statements or get in arguments about Trump people. But you fucking know Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about Christianity. I mean, that guy spent his whole life womenizing, partying, fucking prostitutes.
I immediately
He doesn't
think
give a shit.
about like abortion too.
Oh, dude, that guy had abortions. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that.
I mean-
dude, there's no way that Donald Trump wasn't involved in having abortions.
So how do
it's
people
ridiculous.
buy that? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, they not only buy it, they love it. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like, that kind of brings me to one thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is the popularity of QAnon. I mean, people.
Oh God.
So
Wait, can we just stay on the turkey topic for a second?
Sure.
I'm curious. Do you love that yogurt drink?
Oh, Idon? Yeah, I love Idon.
But it's just
Great.
salty.
I love that.
I can't handle it. I don't like the salty yogurt. It's weird.
Yeah, I feel like there aren't that many like salty drinks in America or in like Western culture. We have shalgam too, which is basically pickle juice.
That's
Like it's like
Hey, bro.
it's like spicy pickle juice.
Oh my
kind
god,
of.
I feel like you would love that, Ethan.
No, I like pickles, but I'm not drinking the juice.
It's
Maybe
not
you
exactly
should.
like diluted pickle juice water though. It's a little different. But yeah, we have like Idon's huge. Yeah, I like Idon. I don't really get to drink it too much. But yeah.
Wait, and how is it that you're very like your English is perfect?
It's American TV. Like I read English books when I was growing up. I was a weeb for America. Okay, I was an America boo. Like that's part of the reason why it was so easy for me to assimilate to the culture here in the past 10 years that I've been here, 11 years that I've been here now, because I was just always obsessed with American culture. Watched as many TV shows as I possibly could in Turkey. Yeah, and
A
that's
lot of
why
your critics would say you hate America.
Oh, of course.
I'm not kidding.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, my critics also say that I think 9/11 was good or something. They're crazy.
Yeah, I looked into all that in preparation for all this.
Yeah, cancel culture, by the way, exclusively a leftist idea, yet for some weird reason, Republicans love doing it and manufacturing outrage.
Yeah, there was
Weird.
I don't know but Hasan basically was reacting to something, and he said jokingly that that America deserved. He said, "Fuck it, America deserved 9/11."
Yeah.
But then you went in to explain. By the way, did you?
We clarified it literally immediately
Yes.
after. I was like,
But
how
you-
I'm saying controversial, exactly what we did.
But did you
We
know you were
armed
fucked though when you said that, because you said in a video
No.
game afterwards?
No, because everyone was like, why did you say that? You're going to get banned. So I was like, what do you mean? If you watch the entire video, I go, fuck it, dude, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how is anything I'm saying controversial? We literally armed the same groups and caused destabilization in the region. And then we're shocked when the very same people that we armed, gave weapons to, gave training to, turned around and hit us back. Like, how is that in any way remotely controversial?
Right. I think that's a conversation that takes place all the time. I think it's just the way you said it. People were like, oh, here we go. We got this young Turk, and then you're associated with the Young Turks, who, by the way, Alex Jones calls the Young Turds, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, I love Alex Jones. He apparently did a broadcast of that.
I've got the video. I was hoping to watch it with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Like, I was so happy. I love Alex Jones. I mean, it's very unfortunate that due to our completely destroyed public education system in this country, that like people take him seriously and then literally act on the psychotic things that he says, and that we can't all just appreciate him as like incredible content, because he is incredible
so
content.
Funny. Well, here, let me
like performance art.
And So do you think that that's what it is? Do you think Alex Jones is a performer? Do you think that he believes that he drinks his Kool-Aid?
I think he got lost in the sauce at at a certain point. I think originally he had some even decent takes. He was like anti-Bush, anti-police state. He was like an old school right-wing libertarian that was like actually anti-police and anti-surveillance state. And then he made too much money and got like lost in his own sauce pretty much. And now he just followed some of the shit,
I think he just walked the path of most attention / success money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to watch this. Dan, how should I do this? The Alex Jones has a whole segment about Hasan, which I thought it was so... what did you... were you so stoked when you saw Alex did a segment on you?
Yeah,
it's going to be a highlight.
It's immediately after the thing happened, but at the time I wasn't paying attention to anything because I was getting an insane amount of death threats, like more death threats than I've ever gotten in my entire life. And I'm used to getting death threats in my line of work. Oh yeah, it was crazy.
So how do they deliver the death threats to you?
DMs, doxing, phone numbers, addresses. Like there's dox bins with all of my, there's dox bins out there with like personal information. Just like whatever way that you could, whichever way they could reach you, they would.
And how has it affected you in your real life?
I think they're like when you get quote unquote canceled in that way, because it was so public, it went all the way to Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham's show. Dan Crenshaw was on Laura Ingram's show, like crying about it.
I saw that. Because
it's like, dude, come on, you're a Purple Heart Navy SEAL. You're like literally like, I'm not triggered, but he seems so triggered. Like, dude, you're literally on the Laura Ingraham show. Come on, you're an adult.
Well, they were like
to a fucking Twitch broadcast.
Well, because I watched all that in prep, and he went on the Laura Ingraham show, and they were kind of being like, this guy's triggered. That's the definition of triggered. But like, I mean, it's just so, because the right, you always hear people saying, let's just sit down and have a real conversation. The left just wants to scream and to get triggered and all this. But like, really, I do think that, first of all, you can't honestly watch that and not acknowledge that you were making a joke.
Yeah.
You're being hyperbolic. You're making a joke.
I was being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But you are
and I didn't mean like the people deserve to die. Obviously.
No, that was so clear. That was I'm sorry, but like that was just so clear. And then, but then immediately afterwards, you explain what you meant. And so, if people want to have I think it would be way more interesting to actually just engage with that argument. But to them, you were just the perfect boogeyman.
It's the perfect soundbite they needed.
Yeah. It was wild,
Muslim
man.
socialist, Young Turks commentator, like, pretty boy, look at him. He's saying he hates America and he's admitting it. Like, we got him.
Yeah, exactly. But so you were getting death threats. What was it like proceeding that? I mean, did you kind of disappear from the internet or just keep business as usual?
Well,
was that was so much shit. You were like in the middle of the biggest shit ever. I don't think you can catch more shit.
Yeah, no, the only way that it could have gotten worse is because they put it on Fox and Friends too, and I know Donald Trump watches Fox and Friends, so I was like, oh no, he's gonna tweet about this. And
my God.
I was literally like, if he tweets about this, I'm dead. Like someone will actually kill me.
Oh my God.
If he doesn't tweet about it, then we're good. And luckily, holy shit, it got to Fox and Friends and it stopped there. And then for weeks and months on end, I was still like, I still get shit for it all the time. It still gets brought up in any conversation that I have with like Fox News commentators or pundits or whatever, whenever I go on TV. But it doesn't really matter overall. Like, and I was suspended from Twitch. All of those same free speech defenders who always are like, wait a minute, let's not deplatform this Nazi. He has some good ideas. Let's listen to what he has to say. Like people like David Duke and Richard Spencer. I'm not even talking about like, people at the edges of being a Nazi. The people who defend all of those guys were up in arms about trying to get me deplatformed very quick. Like they were not about free speech at all. For something as
it's not like you said
insignificant.
Yeah, it's not even like I think anyway. I want to watch this Alex Jones clip.
His name is Hasan. He's funded by Gulf dictators, hundreds of millions.
Is that true?
No.
I love all the claims he makes without any hesitation. It's just crazy. He starts by saying he's funded by Gulf.
I think that comes from the fact that TYT at the time worked with Al Jazeera in production. Like they did stuff for Al Jazeera, but it's like if BBC approached TYT and we're like, can you produce a video for us? Like, I think we did some like white glove production for him or something.
Yeah, but are you even really, you're not, as far as I understand it, a big part of the Young Turks, or maybe not even associated.
No, I'm not at all anymore. I just have my own, I just do my own thing. But at the time I was a host on the network. So technically, I guess that's where that comes from.
Okay.
Because we did like production for Al Jazeera, but like funded by Qatari dictators.
But so at this time, you were on your own.
No.
Oh, you were with
No. This is like immediately after, so I was still there. I left TYT in January because Twitch was getting too big for me to handle on my own while also working for TYT with a full-time job.
Got it.
I was also losing my mind at this stage too, because I was doing 2 full-time jobs, like 6 hours a day, broadcasting on Twitch every single day, and then also working at TYT every day too. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It seems you made the right play. I mean, but let's continue.
George Soros and Google.
Oh, George Soros and Google.
Okay, wait. Let's play
It's
more
just
than
too
1
much.
second.
Well, let me ask you: are you funded by George Soros or Google?
I wish, man.
Yeah,
I wish.
I know. Your apartment doesn't look like it. I'm not.
There's jackets that say bash fascist.
What are you saying?
I don't mean that. He's just saying like it. Yeah, you could be in a bit. You could be in a
blood of
mansion somewhere.
1.5 million Christian Armenians.
Let me go back.
And they'll taste man flesh again.
Yeah, let me just start over.
Can we
I'm
enjoy
so
the
bad at
clip?
this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's cut everything out. Ian, start over. I'm just going to play it. Except for the George Soros part and all that leading up to there, okay?
All right, you're set.
Gulf dictators, hundreds of millions. George Soros and Google. He wears jackets that say bash fascist.
I'm sorry. I got to stop again. What is wrong with hating fascists? I just don't understand that point. I mean, aren't we supposed to hate fascists?
Has a club in his hand.
We're supposed to hate fascists as Americans.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. And then they'll say like Antifa is the real fascist. Okay, then still bashing the fascists in that circumstance is still good. No, like I don't get it.
I thought fascism was like the
sense.
antithesis of everything America stood for.
Yeah,
but apparently it's supposed to be. Okay, I'll try not to pause, but there's just packed stuff.
Kirk, they tasted the blood of 1.5 million Christian Armenians, and they'll taste man flesh again.
What the fuck?
If they have their way.
What the fuck?
Bow, submit, turn your weapons in. 2. The nephew of Turd Breath, Hasan Piker.
What is he even saying?
Pecker.
Oh, he called him Pecker, but it's obviously Piker.
Yeah, it's not even like a Turkish sounding last name.
Yeah.
It's normally Piker, but still like it's pretty funny that he's going out of his way to deliberately mispronounce it, which I love.
Yeah.
I love all of that. Great.
And are you okay? Let's continue.
Can't make up that name. That's his name, Hasan Piker.
Picker.
And if you're a radio listener, you can't see it.
What's funny about
He's got
that
his
name?
red stars, his Antifa flags, his communist flags, and he's got his baseball bat, and he's going to call you a fascist, even though he's funded by the Nazi collaborator George Soros.
What?
And he's going to attack your daughter like they did out in...
Are you planning to attack anyone's daughter?
That's my favorite part because he just reveals his true fear, which I always joke about, which is like immigrants are coming to fuck your daughters. Like,
Right.
I mean, that's what he's worried about. He's worried about his like daughter wanting to have sex with me when she's allowed to when she's like 18 plus.
What does it mean that they're
what does
afraid?
it mean?
I mean, if they're so, if I mean, they're intimidated by the. They think the older women want to fuck these. They can't compete. I mean, it almost sounds like he wants to fuck you.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. The reason is like that's what white genocide comes from, right?
Right.
And this is
It's
again
just
not new. It's a
racist.
very old concept. That's also deeply tied to anti-Semitism as well. It's like that Jewish people like George Soros are opening our borders so that white genocide will happen. That's the oldest Nazi propaganda in the book, and they think that miscegenation, like race mixing, is white genocide because whiteness is purity in their minds. So when you taint the blood pool with non-whites, then white people are diminishing.
It's not good enough
even
for
though
his
they're
daughter.
not supposed to.
Yeah, but his daughter
Yeah.
wants it. Otherwise,
Right, but for him it would be a shame.
well, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Racist.
he wants to. Well, yeah, but she wants it. What
He
can
wants
you
to,
do?
but he just hates that he wants
Yeah,
to. He's
yeah,
like,
he wants
"Fuck,
it.
I need to control my urges.
Friggin'. He's going to chase women down. That's what he's pushing. And uninterrupted for the Young Turks members. And this is the sexy death porn, the sexy terror porn.
What? Wait, he really wants to fuck you,
Yeah,
dude.
now I'm convinced.
Why is he making it so sexual?
I don't know, but it's awesome.
Sexy death porn. Jesus, Alex. Man, this guy gets into some weird shit in his private life. You know what I mean? I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
I could see Alex being one of those people that like hangs himself and jerks off right to the point of death.
Oh, for sure. Autoerotic asphyxiation,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, when he said like he's like, I'm gonna eat my neighbors. I'm gonna eat them.
I love that.
I'm gonna eat your ass.
Yeah, totally.
I'm coming for you.
Sexy death porn. I would
How
change
does-
my whole slogan to sexy death porn.
That's what it is. That's what I do.
I have to say, for someone so crazy like him, it's really impressive, like that he managed to have like this cool set behind him, and
Yeah,
it's just such a weird mixture. Like it really is presented like a real show.
Well, he's pretty organized to put
Yeah,
it all
like,
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he's got all these
Well, he makes
crazy
a lot
products.
of money.
Yeah.
He ties his conspiracy theories directly to merchandise. So,
Right.
like
That's
when he talks
awesome.
about the frogs, when he talks about like fluoride in the water turning frogs gay, and then he'll immediately do a quick shout out to like his purifying water straws that he's selling on his website for like, you know,
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
10x upmark. So that's how he makes all the money is like
That's so
he
awesome.
tells you about how the world is ending
Yeah.
and he sells you
The
products that will
solution.
save you.
And meanwhile, by the way, when he's talking about George Soros and all this anti-Semitic shit and all these, and I gotta always deal with all these people my whole time, no matter anything I do. Every time we do anything and make any money, it's all about, oh, I'm Jewish and I'm greedy. And meanwhile, Alex Jones is literally saying, if you don't want to turn gay, buy this. It's like everything he does is to peddle shit and make money. And but somehow any time I try to make money, it's because I'm Jewish. Like I'm the only person that wants to make money in the world. Thank you.
Just anti-Semitic tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, he recently got actually the FDA shut him down because he was selling shit that cured coronavirus.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
he was
way.
selling toothpaste. Yeah, he was selling toothpaste that
Wow.
cures coronavirus.
That's
Wow.
Even though it's fake. So I don't know. Is
Well,
it
how
fake?
could you know?
Or are you selling toothpaste to cure it?
How could you know if you haven't tried the toothpaste?
This is true.
How dare you accuse him of selling fake products?
And their desperation as America's pulse comes back and as we stand up against the Chi-Coms and defend the Second Amendment and
What is this face?
rediscover
I think
God
someone just edited
and
it
family.
in.
Hasan Piker.
Why does he
Of
have
the
so
Young
much trouble with
Turks
your
declare-
name? It's ridiculous. It's Piker. It's
It's
so
really
obvious.
not a trouble
No.
to say.
He just wants to call him Pecker.
No, he just.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Pecker means penis. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah.
that. Oh, okay.
They say you got a little pecker,
Okay.
like a little
So
penis.
he's clearly doing
Yeah,
that.
he's doing a goof.
But
Players
again,
that America deserved on
that even goes again to the sexual.
Right, he's obsessed with you, dude. Alex wants to fuck you. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah.
11, close quote. Praises brave soldier who took Representative Crenshaw's eye.
I mean, yeah, if you just heard that, you'd be like, "Wow, this guy's crazy." But that's not at all what happened.
That was a fun little bit there as well. So that was what actually got me banned from Twitch. Is my statements on that. When I was talking about brave mujahideen, that was a direct reference to Ronald Reagan and exactly what I was talking about, which is the mujahideens that we armed, and some of them turned into, some of them went into the Taliban, some of them went into Al Qaeda, and like that's a direct reference to Ronald Reagan era policy that was at the heart of my criticism to begin with. And there's that famous Rambo 3
I'm pulling that up
ending
right now.
sequence.
Yeah,
the famous Rambo 3 ending sequence that says this movie is dedicated to the brave mujahideen. It is, in my mind at least, like one of the perfect representations of how American foreign policy always comes back and bites us in the ass, but it is deliberate. I think that it's on purpose. And that's precisely why, for example, Representative Dan Crenshaw cried about all of this stuff on national television, on like some of the most watched news programs on the planet, while simultaneously vetoing efforts or simultaneously voting no on literally arming Saudi Arabia. Like, so some of those arms have directly went back to the hands of Al Qaeda.
Why would we
by way of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah,
so why the fuck would you say no to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's a question I wanted to ask him.
That's one thing I don't understand is how is it a partisan issue to sell arms to Saudi Arabia of all fucking places? I mean, weren't the majority of people who did the 9/11
hijackers? Yes,
they were Saudi
and
Arabian.
They have connections to the royal family as well. Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here? Shouldn't that be
and
like
they're
the
currently
conservative?
engaging in genocide in Yemen, which even PewDiePie raised funds for recently, I think, right?
Well,
didn't he raise funds for like the current genocide, ongoing genocide in Yemen?
He may have. He does a lot of terrible stuff.
I didn't know about that.
So how is
perpetrated
it
by Saudi Arabia with our weapons?
Maybe you can tell me. Obviously, they have some justification. You know, they whatever they're doing makes sense to them. So I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. How is it that they justify arming Saudi Arabia? How is it that they think that's in our national interest?
Oh, Donald Trump already openly stated it. He said, "Do you have $10 billion?" If you
Just
remember, when Mohammed bin Salman was
what about a
being
guy like Dan
promoted,
Crenshaw? How does he justify?
Well, they don't need to. There are allies. There are most important
They're
allies.
just
It doesn't
allies.
matter if they're, because ultimately they're just like killing other Muslims, so it doesn't really matter. And they're incredibly important for our geopolitical interests in the region. And despite the fact that a lot of what we recognize as like radical Islamic terror or whatever is directly influenced by Wahhabi extremism, which we propped up as Western nations, both the UK and the United States of America, propped up in the region, are all backed by Saudi interests. So all those like radical sects are being trained and given weapons to indirectly by the United States and directly by Saudi Arabia in most circumstances. but it's a never-ending cycle of violence that benefits the military-industrial complex. So it's good ultimately, and also they have oil.
They have oil. But anyway, the meme that you were saying, the brave soldiers, is this incredible? It's hard. It's actually incredible that this was the ending sequence of Rambo 3. It says this film is dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters, and these guys were the guys. Tell me about the legacy of the Mujahideen fighters.
You're not saying it right.
They are.
I'm trying my best.
They're fighter troops in the region, and they were fighting against the USSR at the time, and that's why we armed them, because we needed them to fight against the USSR in the region in the Cold War era.
Yeah.
And then some of them became more. Some of them decided, well, America is bombing the shit out of us too. Well, fuck them. And the simplest way to describe it is that they, much like ISIS and every single other militant faction, formed more radical and anti-Western militant factions with American training and American arms, and then started fighting America.
So it's kind of a beautiful irony, isn't it? So that's why that's what you meant when you said the brave fighters.
Yeah, and it would be ironic if after like the seventh oopsie, you got to recognize that it's probably just being done deliberately so that you can justify further engagement in the region and further destabilization in the region, because it keeps happening. We keep arming a certain sect or a certain militant group, and this happens in Latin American countries as well. We arm a certain group. That group becomes even more violent. There's even more destabilization, especially after like bombing campaigns or sanctions that kill hundreds of thousands of people, like in Iraq. And then that militant group is like, well, now it's our territory. We can just take over and do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I mean,
and they get even more radical.
What happens when you give the craziest people military weapons and training, and then just let them do their thing? I mean,
in a lot of instances, it's not even directly a consequence of their like ideology or Islam or whatever. It's literally that they just have no other options. If you grew up in Iraq and your entire country is bombed in the shit, your infrastructure is eviscerated, you have no future opportunities, you have no options, and your family members have been killed, then they feel like, well, this guy who is a little bit crazy, definitely real crazy, preaching all this hatred towards America, maybe he has some good ideas. And that's how a lot of people find themselves at the precipice of radicalization. Like Taliban increased its numbers and influence in Afghanistan after the American invasion, which of course is not that surprising. And that is despite the fact that the American forces there killed a fuckload of members, and yet their ranks are stronger than ever. And now America is negotiating with them as a legitimate entity in the country. Like they are a powerful and legitimate force now, almost directly as a consequence of American imperialism and destabilization in the region.
How many Iraqis died in that George Bush war?
I'm not sure about the exact number. That's always in contention, but paired up with like Bill Clinton era onward sanctions, like the immediate sanctions were I think 500,000, but I'm not entirely sure. They say to the tune of millions.
That's crazy
in Iraq.
Yeah, like you don't understand that.
Yeah,
like millions of people died from that. Of course, they're gonna be pissed off. I mean, what the fuck? That's crazy. But are we talking about like just generally from the conflict? Or are we talking about as a direct result of American military action?
So there's direct American military action that kills people, and then there's drone striking and things like that also kill people. Some of those casualties are regarded as like enemy combatants and hostile. There's a distinction to be made between civilian casualties and enemy, like hostile enemy kills in combat. But then there's also sanctions. So cutting off aid or ensuring that the country can no longer participate in the global economy. These are really harmful as well. One thing that, for example, Trump did to Iran with the sanctions was during this coronavirus pandemic, Iran didn't have access to medicine that they desperately needed, and they could not get it. So anyone that dies technically is dying as a consequence of American sanctions in that circumstance. Same with Iraq. And the death toll is always in dispute, and it will always be in dispute because of the distinctions that I just mentioned.
So, Dan, how many people died as a direct result of military action? I'm curious. Yeah, Dan, I mean, anyone who can just kind of pull up the numbers.
I mean, according to the Middle Eastern Eye by Nafeez Ahmed, this was 4 years ago, but landmark research proves that U.S.-led war on terror has killed as many as 2 million people, but this is a fraction of Western responsibility for deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan over the last 2 decades.
2 million?
So the number ranges from 2 to 4 million. Wow. I mean, think about it this way. Even American military, 7,000 American troops have died since the beginning of Afghanistan and Iraq. 7,000.
I mean, that's a lot of combat, especially considering how well equipped and how well equipped that they are out there, right? I mean, that's a lot of combat for sure. But what does Alex Jones think about all this?
Oh, when you go to a Young Turds event,
I love that he calls them Young Turds, dude. I'm sorry, but that cracks me up, dude.
Crowds don't have any viewers, but it's the Google set. It'll be the Google event. So let's hear from Mr. Piker. Here he is.
His set is amazing.
Yeah.
This is so insane.
Oh, hit pause. Hit pause. Back it up. I forgot. He's real jealous that Joe Rogan, who, by the way, is a super libertarian right-winger, he just knows how to, survive in L.A., I guess. Really smart guy. That's why I get mad at Joe, because he's as smart as I am or smarter. He knows all this stuff, obsessed with it. He knows more than I do in some cases. And he plays dumb, and I've told him to his face. But anyways, he has the congressman on, and Pecker is mad that he has this tiny audience, so he thinks, well, I'll attack him and say something really scandalous, and then all the meth heads and child molesters that watch my show, literally.
Meth heads and child molesters.
Yeah, that's my audience is meth heads and child molesters, I guess.
Jeez.
It's great.
I think I'm powerful. Oh, you're such a big man, Hasan. I mean, look at Hasan's flabby arms.
What?
I bet he's got some big old giant bitch tits.
Dude, he totally wants to fuck you. You big ass bitch tits.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, just take that shirt off. Just take that shirt off. Let me see those bitch tits. Maybe suckle on them real quick.
I love that
get a good suck in.
I love that he on one hand is trying to do serious political commentary, and then on the other is saying this guy has big old bitch tits.
A master of his craft.
Yeah,
is how I see
sure.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, it's a family show. Just go ahead and roll this.
This is a family show? Oh, God help us if there's family sitting around watching InfoWars.
That's a family show, saying that, my audience is pedophiles and meth heads or talking about intergalactic psychic pedophile vampires. That's a part of the family show. But bitch, using the word bitch or saying bitch, that's when it's like, oh, no, this is now rated R.
I'd love to see what families gathered around watching this. Fuck.
This is so insane. America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it.
We're there to partner with them. We're not there doing our own thing. We're there partnering and training
in a video
and
game.
Equipping and
Tim, why? So you said in a video game right afterwards. Like it looks like you knew you fucked up, and you're like in a video game.
Because everyone was like, whoa, I can't believe you said that. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, in a video game. Like, I say that for everything. Like, anything that is regarded as, like, controversial or can be clipped out of context, I always say that. It's a meme in and of itself at this point, in order not to avoid terms of service.
America deserved 9/11 in a video game. It's just so ridiculous. Does it work?
Well, I got banned, so I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Capabilities. So that's part of what we're doing. And the other part is just knowledge. We want to know what's happening.
Like we totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit. We did. We did in a video game, whatever, politically.
Hit pause again. Back it up 10 seconds. Oh, like the Armenians deserved, because they were there before the Muslims took over Constantinople, and then you drove them into the mountains but because they were Christian, they became still super wealthy because they were such good people.
Isn't it interesting how he's all interested in like genocide and minorities?
Yeah. Well, first of all, what I don't understand is like I've never denied the Armenian genocide. Like I've never denied it, but it's the most common attack after the 9/11 stuff that people launch against me, where it's like, oh yeah, shut up, Armenian genocide, and I'm like, what? Like when have I denied it? Like I've never denied it. As a matter of fact, it was so routine when I first got on Twitch because of all the annoying little shitters that came in just to interrupt the broadcast that we made like a ticker to figure out how many times in one broadcast where people would ask, and there's an automatic video that that people would be redirected to click on where it says like the Armenian genocide happened. Me just saying that so that they would understand that I don't deny it. Very strange overall, though. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They don't really care.
No,
they don't care about the genocide, and they don't care that I have never denied it. But whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting that just the very fact that you're Turkish somehow, it somehow discredits anything you could ever possibly
it's
say.
like if you talk to every single German person and you were like any person of like German descent or any person who's like German, you're like, oh, of course you're a Holocaust denier. Like that would be insane. That would be insane if you were to just say every single German American is denying the Holocaust. That would be psychotic.
No, I agree. That would just come off weird and wild. But somehow, I guess maybe the difference is that like the Turkish government, or correct me if I'm wrong. I might be speaking out of turn, but in general, I think like the Turkish government does not acknowledge that happened, right? So maybe that's why it's different.
Yeah, they do not. Yeah. They don't, and they always redirect to America's genocide. They're like, why should we recognize anything when America never recognizes like the genocide of the indigenous population and stuff like that? Like it's constantly redirected. There's a political reason for why they don't do it, because then they have to recognize like the mistreatment and even in some instances genocide of Kurdish people, like ethnic cleansing of Kurds and things like that. So they're worried about a slippery slope. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. They should, and they have offered restitution secretly and quietly. Instead, just recognize it, but they will never do it. And by the way, Turkish people get mad at me even in some instances when like I openly talk about it, where they say like I'm compromised, I guess. But
so that does seem...
it's definitely not a part of our education. Like they certainly talk about how it's not real and how the Western media lies about it.
Yeah, that's pretty sticky for sure. That's tough. So yeah, that discredits everything you ever have to say.
Yeah.
And so you're named after the group that murdered them. And you've got a club, and you say you're coming for us.
He just admitted he's a fascist. He literally just said you've got a club, and you said you're coming for us.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is a fascist. He just said it. Maybe it's not that big of a revelation.
Psychopathic worm.
We did, man. We did. Holy
Dude, his eye patch is so epic. How does that thing even work, man?
I agree. I totally agree. I think it's like one of those.
Looks like a video.
Maybe the reason why I was more careless about his disability when I was talking about it, because like that's another point of contention, is like I said some fucked up words that I'm not going to repeat now, because like that's actually what got me banned. But because veterans on Twitch are a protected group and also disability, because I was making light of his disability. But the reason why I just legitimately thought, like everyone universally agreed, that eye patches make you look cool.
But in his respect, I've never seen an eye patch like that. Like, how is that physically on him? I mean, he looks like a fucking video game character. It's badass, bro.
Yeah.
Almost makes me want to lose an eye.
As much as I think Dan Crenshaw is terrible, I can't deny that is a fucking badass eye patch, dude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Common ground. You see? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy
He's so intellectual.
look at the way that this dip is running his mouth.
He just called you, he just said you have fat bitch, man bitch tits, and he's making fun of you cursing.
Justifying genocide right now. Like, how is this, how is anything I'm saying controversial?
Oh. So there you have it. Alex Jones.
So that part is censored on Twitch because that was made for me to watch, but that's that part was censored by a fan made edit. But that's the part where I say like the brave mujahideen skull fucked them, and like now even after all of that, like how do you not understand that like war has all of these casualties, and you're sending so many people to die, and that's what I mean when I say like 6,000, 7,000 men and women have died. If you don't care about the millions of casualties because they're over there and that's just war, and why the fuck don't you care about the trillions of dollars that we spent and also the thousands of kids that have fucking died on the American side even? But they don't, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah, that part about skull fucking his eye was pretty wild, but it was obvious to me that you were just making a tasteless joke. I mean,
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, for sure, of course.
But
that definitely, the delivery wasn't great on that. I will admit.
But what do you think of someone like Alex Jones being deplatformed? Then I'm curious, what was your take on that?
I think that as a polarizing content creator myself, especially in the leftist side of things, I'm constantly under the threat of deplatforming. It's always in the back of my mind as well. It's always something I fear because oftentimes these platforms will go after like far right figures, and then immediately to be like perfectly balanced, they'll go after far left individuals as well. And I would be regarded as a far left individual. So this is something I'm constantly in fear of. But I think that once you deliberately misinform people over and over again, and that's how you make your money, and then you redirect your hatred towards like some of the most marginalized groups, and even in certain instances, like have victims and their families of school shootings get harassed by an endless sea of very well-armed psychopaths, like then unfortunately it's no longer content that I can appreciate. It does genuinely present a danger to the public. And it's unfortunate because I love and appreciate Alex Jones. My subscription notifications on my stream are Alex Jones.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, like
But so in short, you are pro deforming Alex Jones because you see him as a threat to public safety.
100%. Yeah. Now there is an intellectual argument there of like, well, how do we define who is a threat to public safety? Or once you concede that some people can be deplatformed, then won't that happen to you? And I certainly agree with that. It can, but we as human beings, I believe, have the capability of looking at each individual case, hopefully appropriately. If you have an idealistic notion that like all speech should be free, which no one does really, no one is like technically a free speech absolutist, that would be insane. Even the American Constitution has exceptions that limit speech, like yelling fire in a crowded theater or making violent threats or even fighting words, which is a specific carve out where like retaliation could be justified for some of the words that you say. No one is a free speech absolutist, but for some reason, when it comes to Alex Jones or whoever's on your side or who you feel to be on your side, most people end up defending them and saying like, no, this person should not be deplatformed. You're being crazy. But I think that if you are presenting a threat to the public and there is legitimate harm caused by the people that follow you because of directly a consequence of your words, like I think then you either have to dial it back and no longer present a threat to the public, which Alex Jones does not seem to be interested in doing, or you get deplatformed.
Did you find it, I guess maybe a lot of people found it creepy how they kind of colluded, right? Like YouTube and Twitter and Facebook all dropped him at the same exact time.
I didn't think that was creepy. I think that just shows that there was actually a lot of thought put into it.
Well, to them, they see it as these big companies colluding, meeting in a shadowy room and deciding to squash somebody.
Yeah, fine. I mean, if you think that the world is a comic book,
Well, they do. I mean, look at QAnon. They do think the world is a comic book.
Yeah, there is definitely
maybe there's too many
a simpler explanation.
comic book movies. It's getting into
don't touch
people's
that,
head.
Hila. If you really want to get
I know.
canceled,
there is definitely a simpler explanation for this, as is the case for most grand conspiracy theories that people come up with. And the simple explanation is these platforms are very risk averse.
Yeah.
Once one platform decides to engage in this kind of censorship or deplatforming, all other ones are like, oh, thank God. Okay, we can do it as well. And that's why they coordinated together in that way. Yeah.
I'm not even sure they coordinated. I think it may have, and I could be totally wrong. And maybe it's known what actually happened. I don't know. But I think what happened is probably someone decided, I think it was Facebook that decided to cancel him first. And then everybody was like, saw what was happening and then followed suit.
Yeah.
I mean, companies do this in oligopolies in a legal way, in this way called price leadership. It's not price fixing per se. If you fix prices in a shadowy room, that's illegal. But if you engage in price leadership, like, for example, Delta Airlines decides to, add on additional fees for luggage, then all of the other companies that also hold a gigantic percentage of the market share will follow and will readjust their prices. So it's technically legal. It's similar to how Facebook will ban Alex Jones, and then other companies will follow suit if they feel the need to do so. That's pretty much what happened here. And I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say that there is definitely a monopoly in the tech space. There are plenty of monopolies in nearly every vertical that the tech space operates. That's why there was an antitrust congressional hearing that was held like a couple weeks ago. So I'm just excited that all of these free speech defenders are now coming to terms with the dangerous power that tech monopolies hold over our communication and numerous other parts of our lives. So I'm always in favor of antitrust. I'm always in favor of busting some trust. So let's get after it, guys.
So if we're saying Alex Jones should be deplatformed, let's step back a little bit and look at someone, let's say like Ben Shapiro, who has maybe, let's say, you could interpret some of the stuff he says as hateful if you are so inclined. So at what point do you think Ben Shapiro should be deplatformed?
No. Maybe some people would disagree with me on this, but I think Ben Shapiro plays a role in radicalization on the internet. I even think, and you guys might disagree with me on this, I think Jordan Peterson used to play a significant role in this radicalization on this pipeline.
What about Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan as well. I think Joe Rogan is a lot better now at and a lot more careful now. I don't know what changed in his mentality. Maybe he started watching like Kyle Kalinske or numerous other like David Pagman and some other like leftists on YouTube, and really changed his mind on the way that he had guests on. But I mean, Joe Rogan had Milo Yiannopoulos on, and he even had Stefan Molyneux on, or Molyneux. I don't know how to say his last name. Whatever. And these are people who have not only worked openly with Nazis and white supremacists, and I mean like Nazis and white supremacists literally, like people who call themselves white supremacists or white nationalists, or have openly admitted that they believe that the white race is superior, like Stefan did in that famous video where he went to Poland.
Joe would say, look, I think he would say something like, sunshine is the best disinfectant, right? Like, let's just talk. Conversation is good. Let's just talk with anybody about anything, right? Do you agree with that theory?
Yes and no. So it's kind of like Alex Jones. I love Alex Jones. I think he's very entertaining, but it gets to a point where it's dangerous, right? And the same conversation exists within the Joe Rogan sphere, where do I think that we should shut off communication from every like person that's ever associated with a Nazi? No, of course not. But someone like Joe Rogan with a gigantic platform, in my mind, is not being as responsible. And this is one man's opinion, so that's just my personal opinion. But I think someone like Joe Rogan, when he has someone like Stefan Molyneux on, or even Gavin McInnes on, and doesn't really push back. And I say this as a fan of Joe Rogan who's been watching him for years. I've met him. I've had conversations with him in the past when he used to be a Young Turks fan. He probably doesn't remember, but it doesn't matter. It was very important for me. Still have his fucking mug in my apartment from like 6 years ago. I was a huge Joe Rogan fanboy and still watch him regularly. But I think that when you're talking to people who are deliberately trying to misinform people and radicalize them towards the alt-right or towards like really just awful, irrational, horrific white supremacist, white nationalist ideas, then you got to be a little bit more responsible and have the facts and talking points ready. You have to know what their talking points are so you can accurately and adequately address them. Otherwise, and Joe Rogan is great when he's interviewing people. Otherwise, you're just having a polite conversation with them, and then you're just normalizing their opinions, or you're even promoting them. And that's the difference between platforming versus like, a more contentious interview. What you've done so far, with your playing devil's advocate, even like that is a more adequate way of dealing with that than just having someone like Stefan Molyneux on and just being like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Jamie, pull that deep video up. Like,
yeah. Is there anyone you can think of that should be deplatformed that currently you're like, man, I cannot believe this dude is allowed to continue on?
Not really. I mean, I guess like the thing that I cannot comprehend is Keemstar, where like he's done like so much horrible shit, and he does associate with people who are definitely on the side of the Nazis, but then portray themselves as centrists from time to time, and like podcasts and things like that have already been deplatformed. But like, I don't want Keemstar to be yeeted off the face of the planet, although that does sound appealing personally. I don't want him to just like be fucking completely deplatformed. I just want him to stop being an asshole. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't think he can, though.
Yeah.
But part of the reason why he can't is because
stop.
there is never any, there are never any sort of, there's never like a reason for him to, because he makes money doing this.
Yeah.
And he will continue doing it over and over again because he makes money doing it. And there's no pushback.
Yeah, it's
like there might be some pushback from people who watch him or people who say like, oh, fuck you. But he knows how to dance around that. He turns that into content in and of itself.
He has the Alex Jones. It's like the Alex Jones syndrome where he becomes more radical because it's where he finds the most success.
Yeah, profitable.
And but I do think there's a strong argument that he is I think, a danger to public safety. I don't think to the same degree as Alex Jones, who's like, for example, sending, like, I remember the family of Sandy Hook, they had to like move and shit. I mean, that's crazy. But he's definitely an interesting case. I mean, there's no question that he's a horrible person.
Yeah, I just like, I don't.
Is he a horrible person? I don't know. I mean, like, is he a horrible person? I mean, what do you make of him?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. From my personal experience with him, yes. I can't. From my personal experience, I cannot point out another person that has the same effects as he does on people, and has had on me personally.
Yeah, I try to I feel like there's not very many truly bad people in the world. You know what I mean? Like, just like you're a bad person. So I try to, and of course he would deny that. He thinks he's a good person. So
I think everyone has the capability of being good, including Keemstar. That is at the center of what I believe. I believe in rehabilitation over incarceration.
Yeah.
I believe that our draconian opinion on like our draconian understanding of punitive measures is genuinely a significant problem in the criminal justice system, but also even in these like, I guess, quote unquote, witch hunts or internet mob mentality that exists in cancel culture and all these things that we talk about. But ultimately, at a certain point, we got to recognize like this dude is not stopping. Like, how do we get him to stop? Like, I would much rather be able to have a conversation with him privately, knowing full well that it's not going to be like used or weaponized against me in the future. But I can't trust that. But and be like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, There are different ways that you can still keep making the same money and even probably get admired by a lot more people. I wish you would stop. That's what I have to say to Keemstar. Like,
I feel like I've had that conversation with him, and he got super defensive and angry. It was really frustrating. It was after the whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well, the fact that we even have this conversation now, and once this gets published, is going to mean that like the crosshairs are back on me. Keemstar was actually played a significant role in the 9/11 stuff too. So whenever he says like cancel culture is bullshit, oh, of course, there is like a direct pipeline from. It was on LSF. Someone who fucking hates me immediately published it on LSF. Like literally took a clip, streamed it, like restreamed the clip so that they could have it on their own. So I can't delete it. Published it on LSF, which is a very popular subreddit that features all of these like live stream fails from Twitch and stuff. Keemstar took it, published it. Every single like right wing commentator on Twitter highlighted it and was like, how the fuck is this guy still on the platform? I can't believe that they're like, letting this dude stay on the platform, blah, blah, blah. And then it went all the way to Tucker Carlson's producers. And then after that, it was in the Fox News pipeline. So it just circulated through. But that's how it went. Like I could literally track it, like little pings moving and the story gaining momentum and the outrage building.
Yeah.
He really has the talent to amplify.
Yeah, he does.
If someone is having a bad moment, he immediately is on top of that and making it 10 times worse.
But that's kind of his talent, right? It's almost hard to hold that against him. But the problem with Keemstar is that there's no filters, there's no self-awareness of thinking like, this is not necessarily so important, and like the damage it's going to do to this person is way worse than like the actual importance of me amplifying this. He doesn't have that. You know what I mean? So the amplification.
He is Mr. Cancel Culture, regardless of whatever his personal opinions are or how he presents himself on cancel culture. He is the number one canceler.
Yeah.
He literally does cancel culture nonstop. Yeah. And so do Republicans. That's why I always am like, I always think it's so silly when liberals are the only people that do cancel culture is like so common on the internet, especially on YouTube, which certainly has more right-wing content creators than left-wing.
Yeah, I don't know when that happened, but you're right.
So successfully monopolized the marketplace, and this narrative is just something that everyone just universally agrees on now. It feels like that leftists and liberals are the ones engaging in cancel culture, and certainly some are. But to think that Republicans don't do it nearly as much,
it's just
ridiculous.
Because if you don't outright say we need to cancel this guy, that doesn't mean that you're not pro cancel culture. It's what Keemstar does every day on his show, is like trying to fucking ruin people's lives. I feel like, genuinely. I mean, look how they've gone after Pokimane. That whole saga has been totally mind-bending to me. Like, you saw Leafy's here. He's made 10 videos on her. And her crime, I guess, is that he doesn't think she is worthy of her success. And
she's not beautiful enough.
She's not right. She's not beautiful. She's
not
also
simultaneously, everyone watches her just for her ass. Right? That's the funny thing is like she's not hot, but everyone only watches her for the way she looks.
So what? And, I mean, even if let's just accept that that's true. I mean, so fucking what, dude? So you're bitter that you don't have that competitive advantage.
It's not for me. I am capable of saying, Pokemon's content, not for me. I don't get, I don't understand, like what people see. I think she's a great person in real life, but as a broadcaster, like it's not something I'm going to tune into. But then again, I don't really tune into a lot of Twitch broadcasts anyway because I'm streaming 12 hours a day. But I can move on because I don't think that she's like causing genuine harm against anyone. I don't think she's like out there. Like, even against conservatives and shit, she's not even like, even if you were to say she's a liberal or whatever, it's not like she's like agitating against conservatives, being like, conservatives are fucking brain dead. Like, we need to deplatform them, anything like that. She's just a person who makes YouTube videos and a person who like plays Minecraft and stuff. And
it's like, it's almost like
she's successful.
Yeah. It's like she became so successful and now somehow it's her fault that people like her. You know what I mean? They make it her problem that people like her. But beyond that, I genuinely think that there's basically like a whole cycle of commentary channels now that all kind of chew out the same topics. Like they find a person to hate and grind into the ground, and then they move on to another one, just because I think there's interest in it, right? I don't think they actually even believe or care about the things that they say. I think they're just... Actually, you coined a term. I don't know if you coined a term, but I thought it was good. Simp cell.
Oh yeah, I did say that. Yeah, simp cells. They're farming simp cells. So what they're doing is there's like a Venn diagram of simps and incels. Like, do people actually exist that are simps? People who are just showering people with endless praise and money with the express purpose of like maybe one day they'll recognize me? Certainly. Okay, parasocial relationships are real on the internet. These people certainly exist, ultimately harmless. And maybe they even get frustrated when they find out that their favorite e-celebrity is dating someone else or has a life outside of how they present themselves, right? But that's not the norm for the most part. I think a lot of people are just watching. And then there are incels who are very agitated at women being able to farm these simps, but it comes from the same place. So what these guys are doing, like Leafy is here and any number of other people that like shit on Alinity or shit on Pokimane, all they're doing is farming simps for themselves. Incel simps.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's just like the greatest acknowledgement ever. It's total simp-seldom.
Because it's easy. Like, so the way they say female content creators make a living is really easy because they're just showing off their body and they're being hot and then they get showered in donations. So that's easy. Okay, you know what else is fucking easy? Being like, that chick sucks. She's unattractive. Yeah. She's only successful because she's attractive. Saying that on fucking YouTube is not exactly a brave take.
And then making that video 10 times in a row. Because that one video did so well.
Obvious.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's almost like, I have to say, with Leafy, it's almost impressive the fact that he's been able to make 10 videos in a row on the topic, still get like hold with the, like people are still watching them, and like he's pushing, like I mean, he's basically just testing YouTube at this point.
Yeah, I mean
how
kids,
many
though,
videos?
Right?
What?
Aren't they kids though? Like, I don't think that like fully grown adult human beings are like paying attention to this stuff. It's probably like little kids that are watching it.
I would say probably like 15 to maybe 20 at highest.
Yeah,
I think younger than 15.
No, that's scary. I hope not.
Definitely.
I don't know. But then it's like our reaction itself, our reaction to be like, oh, that's actually pretty bad, contributes to their edgy outlook, right? Like, because that's all it is. It's like, I'm edgy, I'm trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
And when you're fucking 15, you're like, that's cool, that's edgy.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
I know. I've definitely done shit like that too, like when I was younger. So I totally get it.
It's just like, it's like nihilism. It's like nothing matters. No, because you know, you're young, you're invincible. It doesn't matter. It's nihilism. It really is. I find that to be a kind of a common thread on the internet in general, is that caring about anything at all is people just make fun of you for anything you care about. But meanwhile, they actually don't stand for or have beliefs in anything at all, other than shitting on people that actually care to say anything substantial about anything.
I would say making 10 videos in a row about someone like Pokimane, that's you care, dude. Maybe you care a little too much, dude. You gotta fucking figure it out.
But it works, right? That's what's crazy. It fucking is working for him. So let's see.
But it's just like Keemstar when he says he hates cancel culture, but then literally exclusively makes money off of doing cancel culture.
Yeah.
That's how they make money. Like, this is how and they're extremely hypocritical.
Yeah, and then you gotta love Keemstar saying that I invented
going
after sponsors, man.
Yeah, no, that certainly never
Which
existed.
Is, by the way, the
did.
one time I've ever done that, and he's done it dozens of times and still does it even after making that claim. Like, he was tagging Alinity sponsors on Twitter and shit. It's like, I've done that once in a situation that I felt was entirely justified, and he does it actively all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it
I
worked.
think, again, it's because we're all content creators and we're all afraid of that happening to us. So that's why it's like, because of that, it's kind of like an unwritten rule that you don't fuck up anybody else's bag because it might come back to you, as Moist Critical pointed out on his video. But at the same time, it's like, well, what if you get the fucking sea of hate from people like Keemstar Nonstop, who then also do go after your fucking sponsors, or definitely play a significant role in your deplatforming, or even play a significant role in you losing your sponsors as a consequence of his like endless sea of attention or endless focus, shitting on you and finding your worst moments out of context, whatever.
Somebody made.
How do you deal with that then?
Yeah, so this one guy made a really good point. It was FaZe Rug's brother who Keemstar had on a parade of women accusing him of sexual impropriety, and then he goes, dude, how am I ever supposed to get a sponsor? Or maybe it was actually, sorry, it was KSI's brother, Deji. Yeah, it was Deji. He says, how am I ever supposed to get a sponsor when the first thing that pops up when you type my name is all this horrible shit you say about me?
Yeah. No, that's the hilarious way that Keemstar is like very hypocritical on cancel culture and shit, because this is how he makes his money, by shitting on people and eliminating sponsorship opportunities for themselves while simultaneously acting like he is anti-cancel culture or anti going after people's sponsors. It's bullshit. And that's why I'm like, if you truly are fearful of like an innocent person getting their sponsorship removed, then you should absolutely be against Keemstar. Like 100%. You should be like, what the fuck, dude? You do this all the time.
That's what
you
it does.
Constantly, deliberately misrepresent people's positions and misinform your audience and go after people. And then you're going to sit here and act like you're the only one who doesn't care about sponsorships getting taken away. Like you don't want that.
Well, it's refreshing to have this kind of conversation and just to hear you also seeing all this stuff that we're seeing, because sometimes it just feels like no one will talk about it.
Yeah,
because people are afraid that they're going to come after them. Just like I'm sure that after seeing this, Keemstar will come after me as he has in the past and say like, you fucking suck. And he has come after me in the past successfully and has gotten me deplatformed, which is why I think it's hilarious when he talks about being deplatformed or cancel culture. Everyone does this. I have people, I have, 15 to 17,000 concurrent live viewers every day at my peak when I'm streaming. And I talk about polarizing political concepts, and I'm willing to engage people in discussion all the time. In my chat, you can write whatever the fuck you want. And a lot of people will bait stuff personally to draw to elicit a certain kind of response out of me, just so they can clip it and then post it and try to get me banned. This is something I have to deal with on a daily basis. These people are on the right for the most part. They fucking hate me. They're on the right. They try to get me banned. They mass report all the time. And then they turn around and act like they themselves never engage in cancel culture or hate cancel culture,
or that
when
they're just
doing
all
it.
pro free speech, that they just want to have productive conversations and stuff. But that's never the case. That's just never the case.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been happening to us already all the time with the podcast, which is why I was pretty surprised by everyone's reaction after Ethan going after a sponsor. It's like, we've been dealing with this all the time. People are trying to cancel you every day.
Pretty much since
just give them a soundbite that's going to be a little bit like extreme, and that's it. They spam it to all the sponsors. They spam it to everyone.
I gotta say, like, I don't necessarily blame the sponsors, because they're not going to spend the time to familiarize themselves. But like the people that send the sponsors this stuff are not even customers. And it's so easy to tell that these people don't give a fuck about the product, and they will never care or support that brand anyway. Like,
they're risk averse. They're risk averse.
They have no reason.
Sponsors are.
They have no reason to stick their neck out.
No.
And also, like, it's branding, right? So they present themselves in a completely unrealistic way as a brand. So in that unrealistic way, you don't ever want to associate yourself with someone who has fucked up, because fuck-ups do not exist in the branding world, right? So that's also the other part of this equation. The other part of this problem is like some people do genuinely fuck up from time to time. And I think everyone should be a little bit more understanding. But if you are literally routinely doing this and making money off of it, like, please stop.
Yeah.
Please just don't. Please stop doing it. That's what I have to say.
I know your time is limited. I want to ask you about one other issue before I let you go.
Okay.
Taylor Greene just won a House seat in Georgia, who is a openly pro-QAnon conspiracy theorist.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, yeah.
I mean, this shit is like, I mean, are you worried about this stuff? Here, let me pull up this article. I don't know how to say her first name.
Marjorie?
Marjorie.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes.
So she...
My God.
She, here, I'll pull up a video of her just so you guys can see briefly what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
This is her.
Now,
she's an elected representative to the House.
I don't know how much you guys know about Q. It's an anonymous person. All right, so Q is a patriot. We know that
Facebook
for sure.
mom talking about Q and 4chan. I mean, what?
We do not know who Q is, okay? So now the question is, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know who Q is.
This is 30 minutes long.
But I'm just going to tell you about it because I think it's something worth listening to and paying attention to. Okay, and the reason why is because many of the things that he has given clues about and talked about on 4chan and
Can you
other
imagine
forums,
this woman on 4chan? As a Facebook mom surfing
I
4chan.
don't understand.
4chan.
There's a couple of things that happened. One of them was when Q signs off, he puts 3 little crosses in a row, 3 little crosses, and that's how he signed off.
Genius.
Now, he signed off with 3 crosses in a row on November 6th, and within a matter of minutes, President Trump, in his tweet right after that on November 6th, he put, it was 7 minutes later, Trump put 3 little crosses on his tweet. And it was not, it was just more than a coincidence. It was really
crazy.
interesting.
Wow.
I wonder how could this Q know, like, actually influence Donald Trump's tweets or know what he's going to tweet? That's epic.
She's out of her mind, which of course is expected because I think the Republican Party has like gone further and further radicalized in the past like 20, 30 years, especially. You had the Tea Party people, and now Tea Party is the norm.
Tea Party seems
the Tea Party looks normal by comparison.
Yeah.
Tea Party also AstroTurf by the Koch brothers, by the way, and numerous other like subsidiaries. That was normalized. There's the Freedom Caucus now in the House. That's a literal, legitimate Republican entity that is full of Tea Party members. And now they're like, Tea Party's not enough. It's actually a deep state pedophile conspiracy that only Donald Trump is fighting against. No one else. Even if you are a Republican and you find yourself suspiciously against Donald Trump on any given issue, then boom, you're a pedophile too. You're a pedophile now. Everyone's a pedophile.
Isn't it? I find it so bizarre that Trump is their white knight, their savior, the dude who just openly admits to cruising into changing rooms of Miss America so he could see underage girls changing. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what the hell? How is Donald Trump the anti-pedophile? The guy was on Howard Stern like 20 times rating women and just like being a huge like womanizer.
Well, okay. Well, none of that, in my mind, none of that I think shows that he's a pedophile. And I don't even know if Donald Trump's a pedophile. I don't think he is. But the funny part about it is like he has said Jeffrey Epstein, like he has videos of Jeffrey Epstein. He's been around Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Epstein openly and very famously recruited off of Mar-a-Lago, Virginia Giuffre, who is one of the most famous victims and one of the most vocal victims of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific crimes. And Donald Trump has even said at the time in a Vanity Fair profile, Jeffrey Epstein likes him young like I do.
Yeah,
like,
great quote.
You know, there's enough breadcrumbs there for you to be like, that's a little sus. If your entire worldview is shaped around being skeptical, that like there is a international conspiracy of pedophiles, then you have to recognize that it is a little suspicious that Donald Trump may or may not have known about this, or even said, "I wish her well" about
Maxwell.
about Ghislaine Maxwell when he found out about it. Like, I know her from Palm Beach. I wish her well. Like, all this stuff is not enough for them to be skeptical of Donald Trump. I understand why you would think Bill Clinton is totally fully knew what the fuck Jeffrey Epstein was doing. I totally get that. I think that's more than reasonable to think that Bill Clinton did some really sus shit. Okay, he's on the flight logs. He knew. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell was in Chelsea Clinton's wedding. All this stuff tracks, right?
Why would you
to make
invite
people
a human
freak the fuck out.
trafficker to your wedding? That's crazy.
Yeah, like that definitely tracks. I mean, she also worked with the Clinton Foundation too. Ghislaine Maxwell did.
Huh.
Yeah, until like 2016, I believe. So like they knew, and they were still working with them, and did not care, I guess, at the very least. But how do you not also assume like Donald Trump is partially kind of in suspicious ground, let's say, to say the least? And these guys definitely don't even need any evidence to declare someone a pedophile. So how do you look at all this evidence and say, I don't know, not Donald Trump?
I'm always captivated by how the rationalization is. I mean, Trump said, I'm going to read this 12 because it's great. He says, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. I mean, what the fuck kind of statement is even that to make on record?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This guy definitely did not ever plan to be president. That's for sure.
For sure.
But I think they justify it by saying, well, he disassociated once it all came out.
Yeah, no, he's a white hack. He's a white hat pedophile. like a white hat hacker. He's one of the good ones. He intercepted and did a little bit of pedophilia so that he could uncover the pedophile ring. That's what tracks. That's what makes sense of the minds of QAnon people, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. Do international sex trafficking rings exist? Certainly. 800,000 kids kids go missing a year or something crazy like that. Like, it's an insane number worldwide. Okay. There's definitely sex trafficking. I believe there is more slavery now on the planet than there was at the peak of like chattel slavery. It's different circumstances, different conditions, but slavery still very much exists. Kidnapping, human trafficking very much exists. Is there sexual degeneracy and perversion all around, and like especially in places of influence? Certainly, but like it's not being operated out of a fucking a pizza restaurant in Washington D.C. You know what I mean? It's not.
Well, when that guy went there,
being trafficked through Wayfair, like a drop shipping website where you could accidentally fucking purchase a child. I guess, like, that's silly. That's incredibly silly.
Although
and there
I have to say, the fact that there's a possibility that the Clintons knew what he was up to and still associated with him is kind of scary, because he was the fucking president. And
it is very scary.
And Hillary Clinton obviously was a Secretary of State, super connected. That is kind of conspiratorial, isn't it?
Yeah, no, here's how I describe conspiracy theories, and I talk about this a lot because I'm fascinated with conspiracy theories. Love Alex Jones. And Jeffrey Epstein is one of them where I at the very least entertain and definitely think that he probably did not kill himself and was quote unquote suicided.
Yeah.
But in the overwhelming majority of conspiracy theories, there are far too many moving parts to hide such a vast and grand conspiracy. Like flat earthers, they believe that the earth is flat, and the motivations for it are really insignificant and weird and inconsequential. Like, they would just want to hide the truth from you. But then every single scientist, people who fly planes, just like anyone and everyone has to be in on the conspiracy. That's millions, hundreds of millions of people who are every single day lying to you. And you might have started off with a grain of truth, or maybe like a shred of skepticism where it's well-deserved when you think about flat earthers, like the earth feels fucking flat. You have to suspend your belief in so many completely reasonable things that exist in our everyday existence. And the same goes for all these other conspiracies, like 9/11. or the JFK assassination. There's always going to be misinformation out there, and we're never going to know what the full truth of the matter is. And that's what leads people to like lose their mind usually, like, because they don't know this like world changing event happened, and now you don't fucking know. You don't know why it happened, and you need to make sense of the senseless. And there are a lot of these grifters out there who just give you little puzzle pieces. It's like religion. It helps you contextualize something that is impossible to contextualize otherwise, and comes across as meaningless, even though it's a really impactful event. And the human mind works that way, where you're like, come on, I need a puzzle piece for this. And that's what QAnon does, and that's what all these conspiracy theorists do. I just never thought that it would be this successful and this quickly.
I mean, I wonder in a weird way, like fascism is almost like operating by mainstream conspiracy. I mean, look at the propaganda the Nazis peddled, is that the Jews have destabilized the world. Every major war, every destabilizing factor was backed by the Jews. I mean, if somebody said that today, that would be held as like, wow, that is fucking out there, dude. But they somehow made that a mainstream belief. And so,
well, they have different substitutes for that. They say cultural Marxism, which is nearly identical to cultural Bolshevism, which is what the Nazis used to say. That whole like Frankfurt School propaganda, anti-Semitic propaganda, is directly associated with more common versions of that you can hear from any number of different conservatives, not just conspiracy theorists, but conservatives, because it comes from the same place. They don't openly say it's the Jews that are single-handedly and solely responsible for it, but they'll just say, oh, it's the Frankfurt School that is, that is responsible for our college campuses being so left-leaning, and they're teaching Marxism to our kids. It's at the heart of every ideology, and fascism is just another form of that.
What do you make of the whole George Soros fascination? I mean, like, that shit.
I mean, he's a billionaire. He's a weird dude.
He's a fucking billionaire. He just strikes me as a very typical billionaire. He makes a lot of money. He's a hedge fund manager. He donates a lot of money to charities. He's done some shitty stuff, and that's pretty much how you describe any billionaire.
Yeah, and I think some of that, again, never forget, there's always a shred of truth in all of these conspiracy theories, and that's at the heart of the conspiracy theory, that they then tack on 17 different layers of like psychopathic nonsense, right? So the heart of the truth with the George Soros matter is a 1998 60 Minutes interview where George Soros answers a question about whether or not he collaborated with Nazis in a really weird way. But he was fucking 14 years old in the end of the war, and he's a Holocaust survivor whose family was, his family got killed. He was trying to fucking live. They try to incorrectly claim, including Marjorie Green, that he collaborated with the Nazis. George Soros did not collaborate with the Nazis.
What is it?
But in that 1998 interview, he said something along the lines of, I don't feel bad at all about my actions personally during the Holocaust, and that anyone in that situation could have done exactly the same thing. And there's like one instance of that interview where it's like conflicting, but he immediately clarifies it, where because the interviewer says, did you work with Nazis to confiscate Jewish properties? And he's like, no, I did not. But in a way to survive, I think he portrayed himself as not Jewish, which many people did at the time that survived the Holocaust. And he was 9 years old in the beginning when the Nazi Party took power, and 14 by the end of it. So it's fucking ridiculous to assume that he had any sort of blame for anything,
imagine,
regardless,
first of all,
as a child.
Can you imagine how fucking like just evil you have to be to accuse someone who lived through the Holocaust at the ages of 9 to 13 of collaborating with the Nazis when you were fighting to survive? Your whole family was exterminated, and to now, as a man who's come so far, to accuse him of collaborating with the Nazis, I mean that's like digging so deep. It's so fucking vile. I mean, that's just demonic.
And Marjorie Green said that, by the way. She literally asserted that multiple times, among numerous other psychotic things that she believes in. And now she is, he is potentially going to be a congressperson. Very cool. But yeah, it's the George Soros stuff is like pretty crazy. But again, the shred of truth in every conspiracy theory is that as a billionaire, he has an immense amount of power, just like every other fucking billionaire does. But like, it's not because he's Jewish, it's because he's a fucking billionaire, okay? Like, and that's what every billionaire does. And now they're like kind of moving away from George Soros, even though it's the heart of every conspiracy theory regardless. But like now they're attacking Bill Gates, but it's not because Bill Gates wants to fucking put RFID chips in your bloodline through vaccinations. It's because he's a billionaire who absolutely motivates politicians to act a certain way that corresponds to his personal worldview or personal ideology or immediate profits when it comes to deregulation, for example.
Have you seen Bill Gates'
so
house?
Silly. No, I have not. Is it massive?
Bro. Dude, let me just show you. I want to show you Bill Gates' house before you leave. It's insane, bro. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He goes, I saw him in an interview once, and they're asking about like how he spends his money. He goes, I'm for the most part pretty modest. I splurged on a nice house. I'll say that. I got myself a nice house. Oh, Dan, can you show this too?
Is it the $154 million one?
Yeah, Bill Gates' mega house. You got to look at this shit, bro.
That's not a house. That's a campus.
No, yeah, it is. Exactly. It is. It's so crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
I mean, what are you gonna do with all that?
Yeah, I know. It's just him and his family, and they but there you go. I guess when you're worth $100 billion, then his property taxes are only $1 million. I mean, sounds like a lot, I guess, but if you look at the house, my goodness.
It's so insane, dude.
This house is really fucking over the top. I mean, I have a nice house, okay? So obviously people are going to say, you think you've got a nice house.
You hypocrite.
But this is a $154 million house.
It's so funny that mentality that would criticize you for saying like someone has a crazy house, from the eyes of like a random person who's living in an apartment, even like myself, for example, owning a really nice house is crazy. It's wild. It's like a signifier of wealth. But why the fuck would I spend time criticizing you for it when there are people who could put your house inside of their house easily, and a lot of them, and they have even a lot more money than that. That's just like a splurging for them. It's like a fraction of their overall wealth.
I mean, 154 million compared to like 100 billion is like a fraction of a percent.
Yeah, it's nothing. And
I can't even understand that number. It's so crazy.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos cruised into LA, bought the most expensive house that's ever been sold in the city for 150 million. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of money. But then you realize he's worth like 180 billion. And that to him is like maybe
he added 13 billion in a single day at the peak of the pandemic.
Yeah,
as well.
So
like, come on,
Dan, can you do some stats for me?
Dan,
what percent of 180 billion is 150 million?
Let's see.
How do you even type all those zeros?
It's a lot of zeros. Hold on. 180 billion. That's what he's worth.
I think about 180 billion.
Yeah.
8%.
No way, it's 8%. No.
Jeff Bezos is worth $188 billion.
It's not 8%. It's an eighth of a percent, maybe. All right, let me get on the. We gotta crunch the numbers here.
You said 150 million out of 180 billion, right?
It's not there. Yeah, dude. Just like think like 150 is a tenth of 1 billion, and you're doing that 180 times.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's because my calculator did the scientific notation of, exponent -4. So move the decimal points 4 over. My bad.
Okay,
so that'd be
then,
what?
So then,
right. So that's 0.0008%.
Yeah. And then, so I wonder.
I didn't catch that. It's such a big number that the calculator glitched out on.
at a certain point, this changes from pocket watching, which is the more common form, into like a disastrous outcome of policy that has allowed this kind of abundant wealth accumulation for people who have so much power. If you don't want to even think about it from the point of view as like, they earned it, they worked that hard.
Yeah.
It's their money, they can do whatever they want with it. Or even if you don't want to think about it from the point of view of like sheer, like, because it's not liquid, right? It's tied to their properties. It's tied to their market value, right? A lot of Jeff Bezos' wealth is tied to like Amazon stocks and things like that. Even if you don't want to think about it as like liquid capital or liquid cash, pure cash, what you have to comprehend it as is like power. That person has that much power over an entire company, a corporation that he himself built along with many other people on his side, that now has power over millions of people's lives. And the example I use when I'm talking about billionaires is monarchies, right? Back in the day, we had theocratic monarchies. The king deserved to be the king because God told us that he deserved to be the king, and his lineage deserved to be kings as well, right? Why? Because God. Well, you can't go against God. God exists, and he's telling us that this person has to be the king. And the reason why people were upset with monarchies was because they were not benevolent, even if they portrayed themselves to be benevolent. They were not benevolent, and they had so much power concentrated in the hands of the few. There was a lot of wealth concentrated in their hands, and therefore there was a lot of power concentrated in their hands. Now, under a capitalist structure of the economy, a capitalist a way that we have organized our economy, we still have an insane amount of wealth and power concentrated in the hands of a few people, but our justification for that isn't God. Now it's meritocracy. Well, that person worked very hard because that person deserves to have that kind of wealth. And we fail to recognize that having that kind of wealth and power concentrated in the hands of one person comes with a million different issues, some of which we experience on a daily basis, because wealth never gets accumulated or never gets created alone. Not J.K. Rowling, not Jeff Bezos. No one has ever been able to make $1 billion on their own. It is by way of working with hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of people. It's because of diversity of labor and the way that our production lines, our supply chains are created, oftentimes exploiting the third world countries and developing nations. There are so many people that factor into your wealth accumulation that go completely overlooked in most circumstances. And that's how you have someone like Jeff Bezos with $100 billion and many people suffering in horrific conditions around the world, especially even in America.
What did you think about Andrew Yang's ideas? Like, for example, that we should get a data check in the mail for...
Oh, you want to get paid for your data?
You want to get paid for your data? I think that's a strange, weirdly, unnecessarily technocratic approach to it. I think that, look, I think Karl Marx has some good ideas and some bad ideas. Okay, it's too old. It's 200 years old, so obviously, like, there's going to be some issues. I think the problem is the way that wealth gets distributed in the way that we produce commodities. That's, I think, at the heart of the problem. Not like being paid for our data, or not like having redistributive government programs that like take some money, shave some of the profits off the top of these corporations and like try to redistribute it back to the people. I think that the real problem at the heart of this matter comes from the way that labor works in this country or on this planet right now. You work for someone else, they take a big chunk of the additional value that you produce and they pocket it in the form of profit, and everyone thinks that that is completely reasonable. I, to some degree, understand why that would be reasonable, but I think that we have to be able to push back and have some kind of negotiation power to be able to take some of that profit and give it back to the workers who have generated that profit.
So your stance is not necessarily raising taxes; it's more just increasing wages. In short.
Oh, short-term and long-term goals, yes. Like my short-term goals are let's change America into Norway. Let's make America Norway tomorrow, and I think that's pretty reasonable.
And that means more unions, higher wages, better social net, higher taxes for the most part.
Yeah.
Actually, what that means, I think, is more taxes on the middle class too. Even
There would be a higher percentage of taxes on the middle class as well, but the many benefits that you get from it would make up for it. Like even Bernie Sanders' signature policy with Medicare for all, this was a conversation that a lot of people brought up where they were like, well, what the fuck? Middle class might get taxed more. Yeah, but you end up paying nothing when it comes to healthcare.
you think it's a net it nets
tremendous.
saving you more money.
Oh, of course. It literally does.
I mean, this is the only
it-
country that people go bankrupt, right, over health matters.
Yeah, that shit's
Yeah.
wild as fuck.
So
Like a right-wing think tank published a study to show how large of a number, how costly Medicare for all would be. This was a Koch-funded study. That number that they arrived at, if Medicare for all was implemented in America, was $30 trillion in the next 10 years. That's a crazy amount of money. That's like, whoa, $30 trillion. And then what we also found out in that same study hidden was if the current way continued with Obamacare and the marketized healthcare structure that we currently have, that would cost America $32 trillion because of all the out-of-pocket costs that we're paying in the next 10 years. So right now, our healthcare system is insanely inflated, insanely expensive, and putting it in the hands of a single entity, much like many of these other nations have been able to successfully do without burning the entire country into the ground. I don't think anyone thinks that Canada is on fire right now because of their socialized medicine structure. That's what the suggestion was, but it was too radical for Americans, is to just have socialized medicine. And you might have to pay a little bit more out of pocket. If you're in the middle class, not a lot more. But the many benefits that you get, like the freedom of movement, like you're not going to be afraid. You can just change your job or even lose your job without the fear that you're no longer going to be able to pay for healthcare and then get, bankrupted if you have a fucking nail that you want to pull out, or if you stub your toe, you can go to the doctor, that sort of thing. That is tremendous. I think that's a worthwhile bargain.
And so that's currently what we have in countries like Norway. So then that's your phase one. What's your ultimate goal there?
I think my ultimate goal is to ensure that there is as little exploitation as possible, uplifting other nations around the world, globally, at the global level. Like I want to handle income inequality and wealth disparity in this country, and then also handle income and wealth inequality worldwide.
Do you believe in borders?
In a perfect society? No, of course not. I think we would be much better off if we didn't have any borders. But again, that's not realistic right now, and that's not even realistic in the near future. So what I believe ideally is, yes, a borderless, internationalist, humane society, but that's not necessarily something we can do now.
You got to raise up the other countries so that they're all equally desirable places to live.
And right now we have no motivation to do so because why would we? We want to exploit we want to exploit the working poor in Indonesia as much as we can to keep getting fucking $2 t-shirts,
Although I guess if you look at the global poverty, that disparity has closed quite a bit in the past couple decades, right?
A lot of that is technological advancements, like technology constantly growing and constantly developing does improve people's material conditions quite a bit, but that's inevitable in most circumstances unless there's like complete societal collapse. Like it's just a never-ending expansion of technology and technological achievements. And by the way, that's not tied to the profit motive necessarily. If that was the case, then the USSR would not have been able to beat us to the space. in the space race if that was purely backed by profit motive. You know what I'm saying? Or even build like cell phones in the way that we understand it originally.
So, Hasan, in closing, what have we learned here today? That pull the guillotine out.
No, not at all.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah.
People do claim that though. They think I want.
No, I do. I personally look. I wonder why. I personally find it refreshing to see that there's actually people saying what you're saying on the internet. You know, I find that it's nice to see that there's more than just conservative voices out there, and I can't think of many others really that have found such a strong, flourishing community. So I congratulate you on that, and I'm happy to see it.
Thank you.
And I think it's really cool. I wonder why. I hope to see you on like Joe Rogan sometime, so that like, or
that'd be great. But I feel like that's never gonna happen.
But I wonder why not? Because like I feel like he's got to even. I don't think Joe is intentionally doing anything. I think he really is a wholesome dude who just wants to have conversations with people. But I do think he's. There's way more conservative voices, right, than liberal voices. It seems like, or at least radical conservative.
And that's like kind of changing now for sure. But I think it's just like who Joe associates with.
Yeah, I think that's just his personal.
And even that's changing.
Yeah.
Even that's actually changing recently. Like, I think that he's really changed like the types of people that he's having on his show for a lot of issues. I've always respected the fact that he does push back on certain things though. Like, for example, his personal experience growing up in poverty absolutely is the reason why he's so quick to be like, you're wrong when it comes to someone like Dave Rubin saying, well, libertarianism could solve all of our problems if, we just had a Yelp review for contractors. He's like, no, that would never work. And the only reason why he knows that is because he has grown up in that space and he's aware of it. Or the way that he can accurately talk about how your socioeconomic condition factors into your life choices, and it's not just about personal responsibility. So someone needs to just connect the dots for him a little bit, but he's like nearly there, and I think his heart is in the right place on
I do too.
A lot of issues.
Why he's so popular. But there you have it. Hasan Piker, in the words of Alex Jones. No, Piker. You can find him on Twitch. You can find him on YouTube. You can find him on Twitter, but mostly Twitch. That's where your people are.
Yeah.
You see,
I'm live every day on Twitch.
And you
for
stream
like
for
11 hours.
ungodly hours too. How do you stream for 12 hours a day? I mean, what in God's name?
I have no life. I literally just don't have life. I was no lifing it beforehand anyway. And then look, in the beginning of the pandemic, like when we were forced into quarantine, I just had nothing. And then in the middle of it, my dog passed away. He had cancer. Yeah. So this is like the only.
That's
this was like the only being in my life. I'm like far away from everyone, can't see anybody. And so I just started streaming even more than I did as a way to escape, and like to have some organization in my life. So that there was something I was doing every day when I woke up, because otherwise I was like, I don't know what the fuck I would have done. But yeah, that was a big reason why I was just like streaming 10, 12 hours a day, and I've just kept it up because I enjoy it.
You seem to be like the biggest
non-gaming
streamer. Is that true? Or maybe among the top? I don't know. I'm not super familiar.
I think I am, but I mean, I game too. I play variety games.
Dude.
So I'm not like only one game. I don't play only one game. I'm playing Dark Souls right now, but some hacker just corrupted my entire save file, which is what I was trying to preserve.
What? They can do that?
What?
Yeah, Dark Souls is like a multiplayer component, so they can invade your planet, invade your game, and then literally just like pump you full of like these like crazy items. And usually that would brick your entire game or your save file. In my situation, I Alt F4'd before he like pumped my entire inventory full of shit. But now every time I get into conflict, every time I get into like a battle in the game, it just says dummy over and over again, spams dummy on my page.
Oh my God.
Dude, Dark Souls is a crazy. The whole multiplayer scene on Dark Souls is wild as hell.
Yeah, I love that shit. I'm such a fan of From Software, but it's very frustrating.
Well, wish you the best. I wish you lots of luck. Everybody, you know where to find him. Thank you for the conversation. I disavow everything you said, and I disavow you as an Islamist.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, dude. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you.